Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are live and direct on Petty Sports, the podcast. It's your boy, the host. They call me Famous Fees. They also call me Facts. How about that? Yo, I got my man Adam back in the house today. Man, it's good to have you back, man. What's popping over there?
Man, absolutely. You guys already know what time it is. Petty Sports, Tuesday night. The best place to be if you're looking for a major NFL update. Being able to call into the show. And make sure you check us out everywhere, guys. Going to be a great show tonight. Super grateful for the team holding it down while I was gone. Appreciate the shout-outs you guys gave me for becoming the realtor. Super appreciate you guys. But, wow, what an NFL season. And we got a lot to say about it, Fees. Tell us what's up.
Oh, man, it's going to be all the way live tonight, man. We got a whole lot of NFL news on and off the field. I know y'all know about that one, so that's coming up real quick right at the top of the hour. But I know you also saw that crazy fight this weekend. We got to talk about Wilder Fury 3, because that was just like I told you it would be last week. I mean, it was a great fight, though. We also got a little bit of college football action to dive into. Then we're going to get back into the NFL as we always do, because it's that time of year. Man, just like I always tell you every single week, get your popcorn ready, get you a good stick, get you a little something to sip on. Y'all make sure y'all call into the show. The Petty line, 678-871-9602. Holla at us. Chop it up. Let us know what you think. Just don't say anything like Gruden. Now, speaking of...
We'll have to cancel you.
We will. It's going to be quick, too. But we're going to start off at the top of the hour talking about Chucky as he resigned. After the emails were leaked, I'm pretty sure most of y'all have at this point heard all of what these emails actually said, where he had racist, homophobic, misogynistic remarks from a time period of 2011 to 2018. So this was over a 7-year period. He was sending emails using his ESPN email. It was the ESPN or the NFL email, whatever it was. It was a work email, and he was sending this stuff along with... He was sending naked pictures of cheerleaders to people. It's like, bro, was just violated every rule it was to work or even just public. Just like you don't operate like that.
And didn't even care to hide it on the damn work email. Jesus.
Just sent all of this. And I mean, the sad part is the fact that it came out on an NFL investigation into the Washington football team, formerly the Redskins, for all of their misconduct. And now all these emails are surfacing. It's like, who were these emails going to? What about the recipients? There's got to be some more people to go down here.
Yeah. You know, you definitely have to bring that into question, because when you start to look into a case like this and you wonder, you know, what is the true motive behind it, and who is really going to be affected by this, you got to look in, you know, on the other end, and were those people kind of in on it as well? And as crazy as that would seem, we have this whole thing about the NFL being rigged, and it has been a presentation of the National Football League. You know, that kind of blew my mind looking into it, but. You know, back to this situation. It's sad, you know, for a Raiders team back to this situation. It's sad, you know, for a Raiders team that you felt like, well, everyone was saying, oh, Derek Carr MVP play on the field. It's some sort of noise within the Raiders organization, whether it was Antonio Brown or you're signing a trash contract to a guy who's now, you know, been dubbed at all these things. And, you know, Gruden had no choice to step down. I mean, let's just call it how it is. Calling big shots for a Raiders team. And in the NFL, I mean, you're a head coach, and the NFL is predominantly black. It's not saying anything bad. That is a fact. And when you now have your players in the locker room knowing what you said, you've immediately lost them. There's no way you're keeping them. There's nothing you can say or do. And then you want to try to backtrack it on the stand and say, oh yeah, I don't have an ounce of racism in my body. I never meant that. So what did you mean then? For years of emails to just continuously use this type of language, it doesn't make any sense. Let's not forget about Carl Nassib, and then which Jon Gruden said, what makes a man different is what makes him great. You just throw everything out the window, all the trust, all the years of credibility, and it's unfortunate for a team that was kind of trying to look up, but if you're led by trash, then you're going to get exposed. I can't feel bad for him at all.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, he even tried to backtrack that statement about DeMaurice Smith saying that he was calling him a liar, and that's what he calls liars, is people having rubber lips. I'm like, rubber lips? Ain't nobody ever heard that before. And somehow you flip rubber lips into Michelin tires. Like, bro, come on, man.
Yeah.
Nobody's believing that at all. Like, and you sending it via email? Like, there's like so many levels of stupid to this on top of... He didn't even actually apologize. He said, I never meant to hurt anyone. It's
exactly.
Like, you can't even... remotely try to, like, you can't backtrack out of that. Like, it was just so egregious. on so many levels. The fact that this came out Friday,
right,
and he just resigned yesterday because they had to drop more emails in order to make it happen.
Yeah.
I don't know who's dropping the emails, but they're like, oh, so insulting the black man ain't enough? Like, all right, we're going to send the LGBT one out,
right,
the feminist one out. You're sending naked pictures, fire him.
Yep. Got to make a decision.
Somebody don't like him.
Y'all hear that? That was the NFL knocking on the door for a decision.
Somebody really don't like him.
Yeah, and the Raiders had to make it happen. But, you know, so, of course, when something always happens, spotlight for Goodell, no matter what it is. You are the guy. You're the dude that runs this league, right? You're the commissioner. So pressure is immediately applied to the Raiders, Goodell, and you basically had the NFL knocking on their door. But like I said, you know, Gruden, he had to resign because, let's be realistic, Goodell wouldn't have done anything. Goodell's shown us time and time again, oh, this is a chance for him to redeem. No. He never does. So in a way, the NFL kind of got off easy, even though they were already exposed in the first place. So bad look for the product, but at least now we don't have a guy like Gruden basically swimming under our noses.
I mean, this one was so bad. I don't even think he shouldn't have gotten the opportunity to resign. They should have just straight up fired him.
Right. You're not taking the gentle way out, sir.
It's like, well, what are we trying to do? Are you trying to actually be like, you're going to help his resume? Like, no one knows what happened? Like, man, fire this dude. Get him up out of here.
Proper resignation from the National Football League. Nope. You better tell the truth about that one.
Yeah, I mean, we know clearly it was a forced resignation, but he should not have had the opportunity even for that.
Right.
Ridiculous. Enough about Gruden. Chucky is done. Make no more Child's Play movies.
Or awful prime time cartoon dances next to the doll. Jesus, scarred me. That became a whole meme on YouTube, Instagram. Yeah, they blasted him for that. But hey, guy's out of the league now, so no harm done, right?
Yeah, so man, in the spirit of blasting people, we're just gonna keep right on going. Is it officially over for Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs? They've been thoroughly embarrassed by Buffalo. You know, it was bad. Yeah. It was really bad.
Yeah. It was an embarrassment by Buffalo, no doubt. And, you know, I said it, Fees, after the game happened, I really wonder why we took Kansas City, because horrible defense. I mean, bottom 7, bottom 5 in all major categories. And when you looked at Buffalo came in there on a mission, okay? They were absolutely just manhandled in the AFC Championship. People wanted to talk about Buffalo, you know, potentially being this team that was going to hang with Kansas City. But we all knew it was a little late before Buffalo actually took the jump and was going to compete with Kansas City. But I'm not going to say it's absolutely over for them, but it is looking bleak. It is going to be one of those situations where, look, Kansas City's 2-3. They're at the bottom of the AFC West. You now have to look up to Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has your jersey number this year. Okay, you have to go get it back, and that's something to where that's new for Mahomes. He hasn't faced adversity. He hasn't faced it to where, oh, you know, I mean, he has with his defense lacking, but turning the ball over basically the most in the NFL. And this isn't something I don't think Kansas City thought about. I said it. When you want the best quarterback, wide receiver, you know, tight end, and you're going to go rebuild basically an elite offensive line, that's going to cost you money. Mahomes is only responsible for $7 million on the books this year. He's making exponential times of that over the next 3, 5, 7 years with the contract. So they're down, but they're not out. But it's on the edge of, all right, Kansas City, you've probably got one more game before we're selling all of our stock. We can't put faith in you playing like this. You're playing awful. You're not a good football team.
I mean, I think it's relative to what you call over. I mean, I don't think they're going to not win any more games for the rest of the football season. But as far as Kansas City being in talks like, oh, they're going back to the Super Bowl for a third straight time, that is over. They may not win the division, which is probably a foregone conclusion that they won't the way they're playing. But the reason why we picked Kansas City is because we didn't believe that there was any way possible they keep turning the ball over like that. I mean, the turnovers is what's been killing them.
Yep.
I mean, they have the 31st turnover ratio in the league, the differential.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yep.
They're -7. You can't win like that. You have a bad defense and you're not taking care of the football.
Yep.
Like the major difference between the Chiefs and the Chargers is the Chargers taking care of the ball.
And who thought we would have said that this year, seeing as how both teams have played out over the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah. Like they're simply not turning the football over.
Right.
It's that easy. I mean, Mahomes has 6 interceptions through 5 games. You know how far down the list he is? He's 51st in the NFL among all guys who've thrown a pass. That's all quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks, and even wide receivers who decided to throw a ball here or there. The only 2 guys below him are Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's Pat.
Right.
Like on top of it, the defense is just god-awful.
Yeah.
mean, look at it like this. They're 31st in yards allowed. They're giving up 437 yards a game with the offense. I mean, that is a lot. 27th against the pass, 29th against the rush, and dead last in points. They're giving up 32.6 points per game, and they're only scoring 30.
Yep.
Like, that's an easy math formula right there. You're giving up more points than you're scoring.
Exactly.
You can't win like that.
Nope.
But I'm going to put that all the way in perspective for you, just how bad it is. I just told you how many yards and points they're giving up per game. Mm-hmm. The Ravens have the number one rush offense in the league. They're getting 440 yards per game and 27 points per game. That's on par with what Kansas City's giving up. Mm-hmm. It's like they're giving up the Ravens' offensive production every week.
Yep.
The Bills, 410 yards, 34 points. They're giving that up. Cowboys, 440 yards, 34 points. The Bucks, 431 yards, 33 points.
Yep.
All the best offenses in the league are averaging what Kansas City's giving up.
Kansas City's defense turns everyone into Casey's offense.
It's sad. Like, that's easily going to end up being the worst defense in the history of the NFL.
Yep.
Especially with an extra game.
Yep.
I mean, that's astronomical.
Chiefs are right there with the Seahawks for just having a porous defense. Absolutely horrible.
But at least Seattle has some type of an excuse, because their offense is nowhere near as good as Kansas City's.
Right.
Like, the offense can mask a bad defense. It's been terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going back on the record because I've already been on. So it's done. It's over for Kansas City. Told you they're not going to go back to anybody's Super Bowl until they go through a complete rebuild with all of these contracts. They had their run. Now we can stop all this dynasty talk. You won one Super Bowl, and people were like, this is going to be the greatest dynasty. Yeah, but after one win?
Life comes at you fast in the NFL.
You cannot be a dynasty after one win. You know what this Kansas City team is? It's the 2010s version of the Seattle Seahawks. You see how that's going?
Yep.
The Legion of Boom, they was killing it. Went to the Super Bowl, destroyed Denver. Went back to the Super Bowl, lost to New England. Where have they been?
Yep.
Since 2014, Seattle ain't sniffed no Super Bowl.
Not even an NFC title game.
This is about to be a very similar fate for Kansas City.
Yeah. They've got over $600 million allocated between Kelsey Hill's and Mahomes' contract, and Mahomes accounts for $500. So, yeah, they got a lot of money going out over the next few years. And Mahomes is on the books for mid 2020s for like $60 million one year. Yeah, that's going to be a tough. You have no money to spend on any defensive players. You should have been in the running for every possible defensive free agent there was, at least after the second or third week. I mean, you've been bad. Everybody dropped the Chiefs defense in fantasy, so they've been playing bad. Like, they know it in the building, man. They need players. And
they got Washington, Tennessee, the Giants, Green Bay, Vegas, and Dallas for their next 6 games.
Yep.
They could easily go 3-3 in that span, and they'd be sitting at 5-6. Like, y'all might not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they're 5-6 going into the bye and they don't make the playoffs, Kansas City fans, come for me. I don't care. Y'all suck right now.
Yeah. Straight up.
Wish you were on our schedule this year. We need some of that. You turn the ball over like it's going out of style. We're going to move on to another team in the AFC West, the Los Angeles Chargers. Sitting at 4-1 on top of the AFC West.
Yep.
Just won a crazy game against the Cleveland Browns. Are you buying the Chargers as the second team to host a home Super Bowl?
They won in the barn, baby. So the Super Bowl for the Chargers, I can't get up on that yet, man. They're still a young team, and it's not that I don't trust Herbert. It's not that I don't trust all of the players working together, but Brandon Staley being basically, a rookie head coach with the Chargers, and that's all things you have to take into consideration. Is Herbert, was handed the keys to a piss poor O-line, and we don't know if this coach is going to work, but here you go, and had the best rookie season ever by a quarterback. But that's not going to happen necessarily when you're in the playoffs with these big minds that you're going to see going back and forth. And, of course, they're not in his conference, but the Bruce Arians and, if the minds of the Sean Paytons and the, the Andy Reeds and the Harbaughs of the world that they're going to see, I think that's where you get a mismatch from the Chargers. Now, don't get me wrong, they're very balanced, and Herbert's taken the leap, which everybody saw that coming from Herbert. Maybe not continuing on, and now he's in the MVP conversation through the first portion of the NFL season, but Justin Herbert Herbert is definitely turning heads, and he's got to earn respect. He's taken off Mahomes. He's now having a chance to take off Lamar Jackson. He's had a battle with Baker Mayfield, and he's going to make this happen. I think he's absolutely going to make it happen in the AFC West. I can't buy in on the Super Bowl yet. That they've got the talent, but I think chemistry is one thing that they at least need one more season for. It's just not going to pop like that. It was lucky, really, for Kansas City. I don't think it's going to pop like that for Los Angeles.
I mean, I'm not 100% sold on the Chargers in that way, but if you just look at the landscape of the AFC, then they got the Ravens next week. Then there's the Bills that you're looking at. Outside of the Ravens and the Bills, we're not really concerned with the Chiefs any longer. We just got through saying they might not even make the playoffs if everything pans out like this.
Right.
They just showed that they can beat Cleveland. Granted, if that game was played again 10 times, it might be a 50-50 split because that was a very good football game. But they're just as good as all the top teams in the AFC, and I couldn't fault anyone for picking them. I don't think they're better than the teams at the top of the NFC, but they don't have to play them until the Super Bowl if we're talking about going to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So they very well could likely be the second consecutive team to host a home Super Bowl. It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, he played an amazing game, Herbert did, against Cleveland. I mean, if they keep on with this type of a record, I mean, they're sitting at 4-1, and they'll probably, outside of next week, because I think they're not favored against Baltimore, they probably will be favored for every other game for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And most of them they should win. I mean, they're going to be in a great position going into the stretch to possibly get that first round bye. They'll be in the mix for it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when you're talking about a team that's 7th in offensive points per game, 13th in defensive points per game, that's just about as balanced as you can get in the NFL. And when you're talking about having everybody back that's healthy, like I mentioned before, an Eckler, a Keenan Allen, a Joey Bosa, who's now giving you consistent pressure, a linebacking core, Asante Samuel Jr., like they have so many moving parts for a Super Bowl roster. I just think when it gets thick and you're coming down to, one play or one certain drive in a playoff series, I think that's where Brandon Staley could fall short, and he's showing that he can coach the position, no doubt already, but it's hard to buy into for the first year. Tom is an anomaly. The Chiefs are an anomaly. I don't think it's going to happen with the Chargers.
Okay, man, I'm not going to argue with you now. I ain't pick them like that. I'm just saying that it's not far-fetched. They could do it.
You didn't pick them like I did. Didn't have the hype like I did.
No, you went a little too far. And now you're backpedaling. Don't pull a Gruden.
Oh. All night. Gruden comments all night. Horrible. Horrible.
Now we're going to move on to A-Rod. Man, Green Bay pulled off a crazy game. I mean, we could dub that one just a straight-up missed field goal game.
Yeah.
Never seen anything like it. I mean, there were a total of, 6 missed kicks in this game?
Yep.
5 field goals and 1 extra point missed in the same football game. That is pathetic on so many levels, but Green Bay pulled it out in overtime on a field goal because Crosby decided he actually wanted to make 1, which is probably the only reason he's not fired right now. But man, Cincinnati has been balling. Like at some point, you're going to have to acknowledge that these Bengals are here, but are you ready to give them a seat at the table?
It's kind of like the same thing with the Chargers. I can't give them a seat at the table yet. I trust Burrow. I trust Jamar Chase. I mean, look at the kid, 7th in yards in the league, 2nd in touchdowns. As a rookie wide receiver, you've got Trey Hendrickson giving pressure. And you, again, are looking at a pretty balanced team with the Bengals. And it's another team coming in that shocked you. But when you're talking about it's coming down to the coaching again, that's what I'm not bought in on. Same thing with the Chargers, not bought in on. If we're talking about, these implications, being at the contender table, don't want you to think I'm backpedaling off a team, but these are big asks here. Being at a contender table, hanging with, if Mahomes gets it right, hanging with a Lamar Jackson who's balling, a Josh Allen who still trying to find himself, but we know the Bills look at their offense and defense now. There's a lot of contenders to hang with in the AFC, and you said it. The NFC teams are completely different. They won't have to see them till the Super Bowl, as if we're going to give some of these AFC teams this credit now. But there's no doubt that the Bengals are absolutely shocking everybody. And look at Joe Burrow, really taking it on the nose, and he needs to protect himself more. I really love the toughness from him, but we already saw you go for a hell of a rookie season and get it cut short because of your offensive line. And they gave you some help now, but you got to protect yourself at all times. So I'm liking what I see from the Bengals. And, I had them in the upset win, and they just about had it. Let the kid make the kick and, really not pre-celebrate before you know it's through. But I can't give them a seat at the table just yet. They got the talent, but the coaching has to show at least another 2 years for me. That's a really young team. They're way younger than the Chargers, but they're going to be here for the next couple seasons to really hold it down there in the AFC North.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're not a Super Bowl contender by any stretch, but definitely a playoff level team.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how the rest of the season will pan out for them, but I mean, they're rolling right now. I mean, even sitting at 3-2, they actually look good. They picked right up where they left off with Joe Burrow, which we were like, we weren't sure if that was just
exactly.
Your sample was so short. It's like, is he that good, or did he just kind of catch some people by surprise because nobody's worried about Cincinnati? But they're good. Jamar Chase is good. I mean, they played a really good game, and they very well easily could have beat Green Bay, which isn't a testament to Green Bay because their defense has never been that good. I mean, that's why you picked them in the upset. And I picked Green Bay to win, but I also told you not to bet that spread.
Exactly. I knew that.
Like, take Cincy if you're going to bet like on the spread.
Yep.
So, I mean, the game panned out score-wise the way we thought. It was just all those missed field goals.
Yep.
Never seen anything like that. 3 kicks hit the uprights.
Yep.
Like, what are y'all doing? Like, I think this game was like the epitome of ridiculous, but so far this season, the kicking has been bad all across the NFL. And I think what the NFL teams need to do is every single one of you that has an MLS team in your city, you need to go find one of those guys and come work them out to kick for you.
Yeah.
Get somebody who's better at this.
Yep.
Like, I've never seen so many kicks get missed and so many games decided on it.
Take a look out of the Saints page. Will Lutz holds a lot of Georgia Southern or state soccer records. No kidding. And I mean, when he came to the NFL and tried out, Saints were like, look, this dude can ball. Soccer players are now coming into the league. Yeah, you might be making a few $1 million, but come on, now you got endorsements.
That's more than they get paid in MLS.
Well, nah, man. Well, MLS maybe, but you know the soccer players make ridiculous money. But yeah, you know, if you can't make it, poach them out of some talent.
Soccer players. The soccer players in MLS ain't getting paid like NFL
50,
players.
60, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the best ones are, but they're not going to be the ones that are going to come kick for you either.
Right, yeah. If you're like fringe where NFL kicker, soccer player, yeah, you're probably leaning on the NFL side.
Yeah, like Joseph Martinez is not going to come and kick field goals for the Falcons.
Because he's got enough talent to actually be out there.
Get someone that's on the lower end of that roster that has more foot than your kicker.
Yep.
Like, I think that's very reasonable.
Boy, did the Saints miss Lutz right now too. Jeez, a lot of teams miss their kicker right now. Seriously.
I mean, hell, they can do both.
Yeah.
They just kick. Like, man, they can come out there and kick and then go play for their team.
Right.
And we had Bo play both sports and Dion play 2 sports. It can happen.
Yeah.
Most of the times, usually MLS doesn't play on Sunday anyway.
Right.
I think they could work that out. Y'all need to call NFL, MLS, make that happen, and I need my royalties for the suggestion.
Yeah, 100%.
All proceeds of Petty Sports. Let's go. Man, next game on our slate. Oh, it's 8:23. As soon as I call this game out, it's about to be that time.
Yeah, it's going to roll right over. It's absolutely going to roll right over.
But we got Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. They sitting at 5-0, and there we go. I told you as soon as I started talking, so it's all good. Count us down right quick.
Absolutely. 3, 2, 1. Kobe. R.I.B. to the Black Mamba.
Yes, sir.
R.I.P. Kobe Bean.
Yeah, man, we're going to throw this thing over to Mike Beasley one time so we can tell y'all who pays the bills around here. Then when we come back, we'll finish up the recaps from this week, and then we're going to jump into our Petty Sports Player of the Week. Take them away.
Yeah. Appreciate that famous facts feeds. Glad to have you back, Adam. Yeah, man, I know the people missed you out there. Good to see you, brother, back at the table. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching tonight. Tuesday night edition of Petty Sports brought to you by KINGZ Broadcasting Studios. We greatly appreciate you tuning in. Could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're right here with us, with the boys, with the guys at the table, watching them do what they do. You see they going in already, you know, so feel free to call in at 678-871-9602, 678-871-9602. That's how you can be a part of the show tonight. And also, please go to the different podcast platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart. You know, pick one. You know what I'm saying? We all over the place. Just check us out. You know, Petty Sports, that's with a Z. Type it in. You can hear the previously aired shows. And as the one tonight will be on probably tomorrow after 12 sometime. So just keep checking back. Like, follow, share, subscribe, listen on your way to work. Share. You know what I'm saying? Call a friend, neighbor, coworker, text a friend, neighbor, coworker, and let them know about these guys. And tell them about what's going on tonight. Everybody's in the chat room. Appreciate it. See you, Wesley. See you, Jamila. You know what I'm saying? And everybody else out there showing love. Go to the YouTube page, all that. Subscribe. Hit the like button on Facebook. Hit that notification bell so whenever they go hot, you will be notified and you can tune in. And also go to KINGZBroadcasting.com. Spend some money with your boys. T-shirts, hoodies. You know, the seasons are changing. It's almost gift season again. So, you know, start making your list and checking it twice. You know what I'm saying? We got some good merchandise over there. Cups, tumblers, hoodies, T-shirts, hats, you know, all kind of goodies, man. Just go over there, check it out, hit that donate button, spend some money if you like to keep supporting what we're doing. Everybody that's donated, thank you. If you haven't, what are you waiting for? Support black business, support black business, support black businesses, because we do ATL. Hold back to the regular scheduled program.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As promised, we sticking with the NFL, but we're going to jump straight to the Petty Sports Player of the Week. We'll get back to those recaps in a minute. We got to get this man some love. I don't know who he has, but I'm pretty sure he's got the same person that I do.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'll let you take it away then first, please.
Lamar Jackson. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, I be on him about his passing, and he runs too much. He threw the ball 43 times. The man completed 86% of his passes last night in a game where he was down 25-9. We haven't really seen him come back from major deficits because that's when the emphasis gets put on your arm and you can't really run the ball like that anymore because you're down by too much. And he showed up. He threw for 442 yards and 4 touchdowns. Not sure how he got a 140.5 rating. How much do you have to do to get a 158.3?
Right. He's had one before. I think it was like
he's had multiple 158.3 ratings before.
Exactly.
And those were in games where he only threw like 20 balls.
Yep.
But he completed 86% of his passes with 4 touchdowns and no picks. I'm not understanding how that's not a perfect rating. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
I mean, then he had another 62 rushing yards. So he accounted for over 500 yards of offense.
Yep.
Led the team in passing and rushing. Damn near completed every ball that he threw.
Yeah.
Orchestrated a comeback. Like, there's nothing but good things to say about what Lamar actually did last night. So, hats off to you. Petty Sports Player of the Week, Lamar Jackson.
100%, man. And I'll double down there. So, you know, a lot of people talking about, and even we said it, Lamar's got to be able to throw the football this year. After that game in Buffalo, Lamar knew what he had to do with his arm. And so, you know, coming into the game last week, Lamar led the NFL in yards per attempt. Don't know if many people know that. And he was actually third in the league in attempts of 20-plus yards down the field, only behind, I want to say, Tom Brady and Kyler Murray. So, like, Lamar Jackson is taking the lead. Lamar Jackson is doing things we said he couldn't do. And to be even more extreme, he was down 22-3 at one point. I'll be honest with everybody. I turned the game off last night at 22-3. He threw the bomb to Marquise Brown, I think made it 22-9. I said, okay. You know, like, okay, maybe they could come back. I checked the score when I wake up at like 3 this morning. It's 31-25 Ravens win. Lamar Jackson breaking records, highest completion percentage in a 400 pass yard game ever. And Lamar's just doing it, man. He's absolutely doing it. I'll go a little bit different here, though. Wanted to double down on some of those numbers, but Justin Herbert looked great as well. 4 total touchdowns, had 1 on the ground, a few through the air. And just to be able to win a barn burner with, I love that phrase, by the way. That's definitely getting into my vocabulary. Being able to win a shootout, an absolute just slugfest with the Browns, a team that found their offense over 1,000 yards in total, you know, of yards between these both of these teams. And the fact that Justin Herbert was just out there and he really put himself into the MVP conversation with a performance like that. He had already been balling in games before, but now Herbert's showing you that he's really here to sit atop the AFC West. So Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, I mean, Josh Allen looked great, Devontae Adams, so many dudes, but 100% hats off to Lamar Jackson. He's got to take the cake this week.
Yeah, I mean, he did stuff that we didn't think that he could do, but no one else has done it either.
Exactly.
It was like he went many steps forward.
Exactly.
Crazy game for Lamar. But they got to stop getting down like that. Man, so we're going to switch gears to college football. I know y'all heard about it. A lot of people watched it. The mighty Alabama Crimson Tide fell to Texas A&M on Saturday. Dropped them from 1st to 5th in the rankings. So now Georgia is number 1.
I heard like the hesitation. You're like, Georgia's number 1.
Oh no, I paused for the applause. So are you buying UGA as finally converting all of that talent into a national championship?
You know, I wanted to sell it first. I really did, because I've seen, been a Dogs fan my whole life, seen what this team has done. I've been through the Aaron Murray days and the Jake Fromm days, and the Stafford days, and what everybody has brought through, this school. And we always have a great defense. There's no question that the Dogs always have a great defense. So let's talk about the best they've been in the last few years. 2017, when they lost to Alabama in the title game, absolutely put on a show with Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl. That year, they had the 9th best rushing attack. They weren't even in the top 100 for passing, but they were in 15th, in points per game. So you look at the Dogs this year, they're not running the ball better than they were, but that's kind of hard to do. I mean, you're talking about Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, DeAndre Swift in your backfield. All these dudes are NFL starters now. Okay, so we can't sit here and harp over that.
Start.
Exactly. Well, he's with the Rams now. Be nice to him. Okay, I know what he... The man won you a Super Bowl. Okay, he didn't win you a Super Bowl, but he had a lot of nice carries. He had a lot of nice carries in that postseason for New England. And y'all got to give him some credit for being that running back for you. Anyways, though, Sony Michel was a great running back. He did so much for the Bulldogs that year. We can't agree on that. Yeah. But, with the Dogs this year, when you look at the landscape of college football, now that Alabama has went down, and it's not saying that, you can beat them in that exact way, but this feels like one of the weakest years of college football in recent memory. Like, we're not even really hyping up the Heisman that much. We're not really talking about this draft class. We're not talking about these quarterbacks that are going to blow you away. Yeah, there's talent, but if there's any time for Georgia to pounce and actually take control of the situation, it is now, because Kirby Smart's been doing the same damn thing year over year over year, and we know there's a good defense, but what is the offense going to be? And you feel like they're kind of finding, their quarterback situation a bit between Bennett trying to stay healthy, JT Daniels as well. But I got to buy in. I mean, how could you not buy in on Georgia being the best team in the nation at this point? And we know that they like to crack under expectations, but the field is there for you. Right now, as of today on Petty Sports, it's Georgia in the field. I'm not saying it's going to end like that, but I'm going to buy in on the title this year. Absolutely.
No, I'm selling. They still have Kirby behind. Like, he's the X factor here. Every time they do this, they end up falling. And I'm just going to take it a step further. It's not like Alabama had a bad game. Bryce Young still threw for 369 yards and 3 touchdowns. Brian Robinson had another $147 on the ground and 60 yards receiving. Jamison Williams went for 146 and 2 touchdowns. They got outscored. That was an issue of the defense that needs to be tweaked ever so slightly. But what Texas A&M's offense did, I don't think Georgia's offense can do that. And what we will see at the end of the season, doesn't matter how good they are, Georgia can stay undefeated. They're going to play Alabama in the SEC championship, and that's where he will fold under that pressure of looking at Saban across the field.
Yep.
It's really just coaching. It's been multiple years where Georgia has more talent than Alabama.
Better recruiting classes at one point, too, specifically after Kirby came over.
They've been getting everything in there they need, but Kirby is not maximizing. And it's not to say that he hasn't done a good job. He can't get them over the hump.
Yeah.
I mean, it really looks like the only coach that's able to actually take a team that has equal talent over Nick Saban is Dabo.
Yeah.
No one else can outcoach that man. I mean, Urban did it, but Urban is actually happy about Gruden right now because ain't nobody talking about him no more.
Jesus.
Maybe Urban is the one who leaked the emails. Did you ever think about that? That's what happened.
Wow. Who's gonna hide the heavy, man? I just put a polo on today. Come on, bro. Jeez.
He's got to be the only man in America happy about this. It's like, yep, fry him. Stop talking about me.
Fire him up.
But yeah, man, I'm just not sold.
Yeah.
UGA is gonna have to show me, and you can't show me in October.
Right.
You're gonna have to show me in January.
Yep. Got to earn the stripes. They haven't earned the stripes the last few years at all. And when you talk about 2017 being such a prime year, I mean, everything was clicking. Jake Fromm had a stellar year. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the country. After that year, they were saying Jake Fromm was potentially going to be the #1 overall pick. Never bought into it. Then he played his sophomore year, and I was like, oh, you want to pull the mock draft up now? Because it was absolutely bad. But, Fromm never played well after 2017. It's been such a journey trying to find really just a quarterback. And if Kirby can put the one-dimensional tendencies behind him once you get to the height of now you're the best team in the nation. Now it's, as a lot of people feel, Georgia in the field. Still think Alabama has a great case, of course, but buying the Bulldogs for a chip, how can you not? It's there for them at this point.
It's unneeded pressure.
Oh, I'm not.
It's unneeded pressure.
Yep.
I mean, Bama barely dropped out of the top 4. One of those teams are going to lose, and they're going to play.
I really
Georgia
thought Alabama was going to be like 9 or 10. I was like, oh, 5? Yeah.
But they're only like they're 4-2.
Yeah.
They have the same record as Auburn. Why the hell was Auburn ranked?
Right. And see, this is what makes it so hard for me to really be bought in and report on college as hard as we do on the NFL. I'm just being honest. When you're talking about 130 teams in the country, come on now. I mean, 130 could beat one on any given day because 130 never gets the look that one gets. And that's facts.
I mean, that's a bit much, but.
Okay, excuse me. 95.
We can't go that far back. All those teams ain't good.
Like high school teams at the bottom.
But, man, speaking of getting dropped,
Feast is with it tonight. Feast is with it tonight. Man, maybe I need to, like, step back a little bit every other week. Feast just kind of gets we're in the elevator. Said, okay, everybody's getting it today. Guys, call the show. 678-871-9602. We are going off at the table right now. Fees is, I don't know. We might have Gruden call the show at this point. I mean, geez, man, so many name drops. But Fees, tell us about this fight, man. I'm sorry.
Man, Tyson Fury knocked out Deontay Wilder again, just like I told you last week in the 11th round. It was another one of those fights. Was like, okay, like we all knew that Deontay Wilder is not a polished boxer. For the first 3-4 rounds, it looked like someone actually told him that you were allowed to jab and you can do things other than swing haymakers, and he was doing well for himself. Scored 2 knockdowns in the 4th round, and at that point, it looked like, oh, okay, like maybe he might have figured it out. But after getting dropped 2 times, which I've seen a lot of people have been claiming that the count was slow and Fury actually was out longer than 10 seconds, which is a bunch of bull. That man got up and then proceeded to fight 7 more rounds and knock Wilder down 3 times. It's like he was laughing after he went down. He started clowning. I mean, it's amazing that a man of his size and stature is that light on his feet.
Right.
It doesn't even look normal. It's just not like he doesn't look like he's in great shape, but clearly he's got to be in way better shape than what his appearance would say,
right,
for him to go 11 rounds still swinging like that. I mean, the dude is massive. And if you look at the CompuBox numbers from that fight, they tell the whole story. Fury landed 150 of 385 punches to Wilder's 72. He hit him more than twice the amount of times at a higher rate.
Yep.
I mean, he's landed at 39%, where Wilder has only landed 20% of his punches. Wilder threw 102 jabs and only landed 9 of them. It's like he was literally just throwing them out there.
Yeah.
I mean, Fury popped him with 36 jabs, 114 power punches to Wilder's 63. It was like on every statistical level,
yeah,
he just completely outboxed him outside of a couple of rounds.
Yep.
Everything Wilder did was in the beginning of the fight.
Exactly.
As soon as he got touched, all of that boxing, whoever was training him, it went straight out the window.
Exactly.
He reverted right back to his old self, and we got the same result.
Yep. You talk about the numbers. I mean, let's talk about a mental check for Deontay Wilder. Like you said, first 3 rounds, coming into this fight, Deontay Wilder said, no excuses. I'm going to be a different boxer. The dude put on, 20-plus pounds for this fight, just about. I mean, he was a big dude in there. Both massive guys. What a heavyweight matchup, that this fight was. But coming in, he said, no excuses. I'm going to be a different boxer. I'm going to try to fight in a different way to where I can show you I've got the discipline and the patience to win a big fight in my career. And like you said, it was like after round 3 and after he went down with the knockdown, he just completely threw everything out the window and was back to the haymakers, was back to the, real errant stances and leaving himself open and just not being that technical boxer. And let's talk about another thing. It was clearly apparent he was more tired than Tyson Fury. I mean, he was absolutely fatigued. When you saw the corner shots, Fury was like, all right, let's go. Like, I'm ready to get begin. Wilder's like, he's like, yeah, all right. Like, he was absolutely gassed over in the corner. And for you to be able to see that on camera and to know him stepping back into that ring, he was swaying and leaning for a decent part of that fight. I mean, you saw in the clinch, his body weight was starting to really fall, and you knew it was only a matter of time before Tyson Fury got it off. And he was basically toying with the dude towards the end of the fight. I mean, the knockout, rightfully so, Wilder hits the mat, and that's the end of it. And what a win for Tyson Fury. And, to comment even even a little further, Wilder's real lack of sportsmanship after the fight, that's just not a good look. Like, you want to talk about where he can maybe go next. I'm not even saying a fighter. Like, get your mind right. Get back into the game. Actually understand the type of fight you just went through and how disconnected you looked in a big part of your career. That's my take on it.
I mean, it was sad. I mean, they're blaming it on the broken hand. It's like, you weren't throwing any jabs or anything else anyway. It's like, that's not how you box. This man has beat you 3 times because that first fight was not a draw. Fury won that one too. Every time you step into the ring with this man, you don't have the reach advantage. And apparently you don't actually even have the power. You can knock him down, but it's not hurting him the way it is when he knocks you down. You don't get up.
Right.
So he's got you on every aspect. And he had the audacity to turn down Floyd's offer to train him. Like, maybe you should actually listen to the guy who's the best defensive fighter we've ever seen, who ain't never lost a fight.
Yeah.
If he offered to actually help you, but I can't remember what he actually said to him because this was a while ago. But it was like, I think it was after he got knocked out the first time. He said something real disrespectful to Floyd. Like, are you serious? Like, you knocked out like 40 bums. Can you name anyone that he knocked out? I mean, he has been dropping people, but he was fighting a whole bunch of used car salesmen and Walmart warehouse workers.
Right.
That record was gained on like people who weren't fighters. That's why he was able to knock them out like that.
Yep.
You step into the ring with a real boxer and you see what's happened to you. It's a shame. Yeah, I mean, next, I don't even want to see him fight anybody.
Right.
Who are you going to put him in the ring with?
Exactly. That's not going to embarrass him.
You going to get out there and fight Ruiz because he embarrassed Anthony Joshua with that cold right hand?
Yep.
I mean, that could be 2 straight haymaker swingers.
Yep.
Who's going to land first blood?
You're right. Yeah. Wilder just looks, like I said, he looks so disconnected in the last fight, and especially with his footwork, so discombobulated, kind of galloping to, recollect himself, and just, he wasn't staying square to the fight. He wasn't truly staying, right to the action, leaving himself open, getting hit so many times. I mean, he was really worn down by, I'd say, the second part of that fight, where they really got into the thick of it, round 4, 5, 6. But just his size and the type of dude he is really is what kept him going. I mean, he was so fatigued by that point.
Yeah, I mean, it was sad, really, just watching him out there, out on his feet.
Right.
I mean, there were so many memes and videos. I mean, there was so much going on. Like, I posted one from Ha Davis, the dude would always be like, like, big fella. Like, he always be on that. Dude was like, who put that right hand right there? Like, man, the whole thing was hilarious. If y'all follow me on Facebook, go check that video out. I posted it a few days ago. Like, that thing had me dying. So, man, when we come back from this next break, we've got a new segment for you. It's going to piss a few people off. I can't wait because I know y'all love to come for me, and I don't care. We're going to do Contender or Pretender. 10 NFL teams. We'll let you know their status, where we've got them, and why. So, Mike Beasley, take this thing away.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. Famous Facts Fees. Ladies and gentlemen, you tuned in to Famous Facts. Adam Lewis here on King's Broadcasting. You're watching Petty Sports Tuesday Night Edition every Tuesday or every other Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Thanks for joining tonight. We see you chat room. Thank you so much. Appreciate your support. Go over to King's Broadcast and spend some money. You know what I'm saying? Please. Without no you, there will be no us. We implore you to go over there and spend some of your loot. Hit the donate button at the bottom of the homepage. No donation is too big or too small. We greatly appreciate all donations. Believe it when I tell you. Go to the different platforms for podcasts. Your favorite one, iHeart, Google, Spotify, Apple. Check us out, type in Petty Sports over there. You can listen to the previously aired shows as well as this one will be up tomorrow. Go to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, all that good stuff, man. Like, follow, share, even subscribe. Hit those thumbs up when you see something you like on the emojis, the hearts. Let us show us some love, and do feel free to call in at 678-871-9602. 678-871-9602. That's how you can be a part of the show tonight. All right? Support black business. Support black business. Support black businesses. Cause we do. ATL. Back to the regular schedule program.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is that time of the program. I see we got a Chargers fan in the YouTube chat. Boat fan, you make sure you stay tuned. Your team is second on the contender or pretender list.
That's right.
So without further ado, we're going to break this thing all the way down for you. 10 teams, contender or pretender. First team
Steelers pretender
on the docket. Buffalo Bills. Are they contenders or pretenders?
Well, you know me, man. Whenever we get into this segment, I always got to bring my own little twist to it because some of these guys try to fool you up front. So I'm going to call the Bills a fringe contender because of their schedule. When you're talking about, losing to Pittsburgh, which big deal is week 1, but you've beat Washington. Help me out here, man. I have it in my notes.
Houston, KC.
Yeah, Houston, KC. Like, you're not talking about true teams that they've actually been able to beat up on. We know about Josh Allen. We know about the offense. Dawson Knox looks great. Sanders looks great. The defense, wow. Like, we're talking about the Bills' defense from a couple years ago. So they've got everything to hit on all cylinders, but they're not playing anybody. I've seen it time and time again. Like, yeah, we want to talk about the win over the Chiefs. They're the worst defense in the NFL. Literally. So I will give the Bills a contender status, but they're fringe contenders literally because of the schedule. Not coaching, not players, but because of the schedule.
Only reason I don't knock them for that, because I also have the Bills as a contender. I'm not knocking them for the schedule for the mere fact that all 4 of those wins have been by 18-plus points.
Yeah.
See, they haven't just been squeaking by like some of the teams that we're going to get to. There ain't been somebody missed a field goal, so you got to win over a terrible football team and escaped. It's like, no, they've been blowing teams out of the water outside of that one miscue week 1. Not sure what happened in the Pittsburgh game, but since then, Josh Allen has been killing it. 1,370 yards, 12 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. Like, he's slowly starting to turn it around.
Yeah.
They're leading the NFL in points per game. Their defense is looking good, so I definitely got to give them contender status. There's no way I can't give it to them, even given the schedule. Just because they've shut 2 teams out.
Yep.
That's extremely difficult to do.
Back-to-back weeks, I believe.
Wasn't back-to-back, but it was Houston and Miami.
Right.
There was Washington in between.
Oh, yeah. Which they blew them out of the water, too.
Yeah. They still beat Washington by 23 points. They just didn't shut them out.
Right.
But, they're getting contender status from me. So now we're going to move on to your L.A. Chargers. I'm interested to see where you've got them. Contender or pretender?
Definitely a contender for me. I mentioned it before we got into this segment. They're a very balanced team right now. Herbert's taken the leap. The fact that Brandon Staley being with the Rams last year and engineering that defense, and he's clearly come over. Something's clicking for everybody, and that defense is looking great. Like I said, they've had the players. They're healthy now. They've got their franchise quarterback, and they're winning big games. Justin Herbert is showing you that he can contend to be an MVP. He can contend to be the best quarterback in the NFL on any given day. It doesn't matter the weather, doesn't matter where they're at. Like, he has shown that he is fathomed basically by anything that's thrown his way. Definitely got the Chargers in the contender category here.
Okay, I also have the Chargers as contenders. They've got wins over Washington, KC, Vegas, and Cleveland. That's a pretty good schedule they've played so far. The one loss was to Dallas by 3 points. But all in all, they've actually started winning close games, which is one of the major knocks that they had last season.
Yep.
Well, that's actually been a knock on them for decades. They don't win the close games. If they can continue that and the style of football that they're playing, for all the reasons that you've already named out, Herbert is playing lights out. The offense is looking good. There's no reason why they can't be a contender sitting at 4-1. The AFC is kind of wide open right now with like 3 or 4 teams that have a legit shot right up there at the top.
Yep.
So now we'll move on to the Baltimore Ravens. Contender or pretender?
I'm so excited to call these guys pretenders, or excuse me, not pretenders. Wow, look at me psyching myself out.
I was like, oh, man.
So excited to call these guys contenders. Like I say, what don't you say when you give your take? That right there. Man, the way Lamar Jackson has played this year, we've mentioned it so much this year on the show, and it's really becoming a thing, is what did Lamar Jackson do this week that he couldn't do last week? What did he do that we said he couldn't do? What is he improving on that he couldn't do last year? And that is Lamar Jackson's motto week in and week out. Great great routine throws, all sort of arm angles, and just being so calm in the pocket, understanding that he doesn't have to put it all on his back. But if you give the dude a chance to throw on a porous defense, he'll show you that, hey, I can make the throws. We've talked about the, expected air yards per attempt. We've talked about the big time throws. We know they've got the defense and they've always been able to run the football. So now this is the one piece that they're bringing it together. So how can they not be a contender at this point? Definitely bought in on the Ravens as a contender, not a pretender.
Oh, no, they're getting pretender status from me. The Baltimore Ravens, they have wins over KC, Detroit, Denver, and Indy. KC is the only team that they beat that we expected to be anything. None of those teams are really that good. Their loss was to the Raiders in week 1. They've already played in 2 overtime games, won 1 and lost 1. They're having to come back big against Indy, who has nothing that resembles an offense. Carson Wentz had the best game of his career against that defense.
Yeah.
That doesn't say much for Baltimore's defense. It was an amazing game, and I'm not taking anything away from how well Lamar played because I just gave him my player of the week. He balled out. But all in all, they are not built for January. Like, this is not going to keep up all season long. They had to beat the Detroit Lions on a 66-yard field goal. They could easily be 1-4. Mm-hmm. Their games have been so close. You're not going to keep winning them like that, especially relying on Lamar that way. Doesn't matter if you're relying on his legs or his arm. You're relying on him too much.
Yeah.
They're looking very reminiscent of Seattle. They look good in the beginning of the season while Russ does everything, and he looks like the MVP, and then he starts to wear down because you asked him to do too much.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen to the Baltimore Ravens. Deeper into the season, Lamar is just going to tire out. They're asking him to do too much. Pretender. The Cincinnati Bengals. Contender or pretender?
Gotta say pretender, man. Like I mentioned earlier, they're just not grown enough yet. And again, it's not that I'm doubting the talent. It's not that I'm doubting the roster. But like I said, how young these guys are and who is Zach Taylor really? This is a guy that is really coaching for his job right now. So to ask him to put the Bengals up in another category to where they can compete with the big dogs, great game against the Packers. Don't get me wrong. They had every right to win that football game. But I'm also going to, I'm not, and the Packers are going to be in this segment. I'm not going to act like the Packers are a team that anybody really in the NFL is afraid of right now to make a run. There's a lot of teams out there that are more talented than them, but I can't put the Bengals at the contender table yet. No, pretenders for me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely pretenders. And it's not even a knock because they're a young team, up and coming. I mean, they beat Minnesota in a crazy game. Like, that one went to overtime.
Right.
They beat Pittsburgh and they beat Jacksonville, so we're not really impressed by any of those 3 wins. But the fact that it's Cincinnati with 3 wins, that is impressive all by itself.
Right.
It doesn't matter who they beat. They're winning games.
They
haven't been doing that.
Right.
Like, the healthy Burrow looks good. Jamar Chase, despite his crazy comments, is looking like a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver. So, I mean, the future looks really bright for the Cincinnati Bengals. They could possibly be a wild card team even this year, but that still doesn't make you a contender.
Right.
Contender and playoff team are not the same thing. So, I mean, when we see them play against an explosive offense and see if they can actually have a battle with them and keep up, then we might know a little bit more about Cincinnati, but the defense is average. So at this point, wild card is the ceiling, and that's not a bad thing at all. So who we got up next? The Cleveland Browns. Contender or pretender?
The dog pound. I got to call them pretenders, man. They haven't shown me the Browns that they were last year. Yeah, they can run the football. But the defense has really been something that's carried them. And even to that aspect, they haven't been the most consistent team in the NFL. I mean, 14-7 against Minnesota. And then you're having a shootout with a team like the Chargers to where it wonders, okay, what are we getting from Cleveland week in and week out? We saw times from Baker in that Chargers game to where it's clear he does not want something to do with OBJ. Like they've brought pass catchers in for him, and with OBJ, of course, being the most talented pass catcher on that team, for him not to look his way, that shows you that there's something kind of stopping up there with the Browns. And I just don't see them being a threat at the end of the year to say, okay, they're going to be in an AFC title game or a Super Bowl. Definitely pretenders for the Cleveland Browns right now.
I'm going to give them contender status just because of the rush game and what their defense is. Like, you have a strong defense and a strong running game, that's a formula to win playoff football. So long as Baker Mayfield doesn't play bad, they can win. I mean, I wouldn't pick them all the way most times. I mean, I did put them in the Super Bowl. So there's that. I'm not backing off my pick because with a run game and a defense like that, your quarterback just needs to be serviceable. We've seen multiple quarterbacks get to and win Super Bowls off the backs of a strong running game and a really good defense. So we know that formula does work. Cleveland does have that. And Baker's not bad. He's just not transcendent by any level. So, I mean, if you get a good playoff run out of Baker, they can absolutely make their way to a Super Bowl. So I'm still giving them contender status at 3-2. Now we got the Dallas Cowboys. Contender or pretender?
Another fringe contender for me, and this is when I start to talk about the coaching. You know, Mike McCarthy's trying to tell us that Zeke's coming back to life, and our eyes aren't lying to us. Dallas might be the most consistent team in the NFL right now because they show you week in and week out, you're going to get 28-plus points. You're going to get Micah Parsons putting his hand in the dirt and putting pressure on the quarterback, and you're going to get Trayvon Diggs coming away with interception or two every single game. And there's no doubt that Dan Quinn surprisingly has went in there and changed the defensive culture of this team through the first 5 weeks of the NFL. And again, you know, it's a big ask to put a team that hasn't even been streaky, has been consistently bad when it matters, talking about the Dallas Cowboys, and they've had this talent before. And great, they're hitting draft picks on the defensive side of the football, but it's so hard to buy in year one on, you know, the small amount of success that they're starting to build. I know they're a top 5 team in the NFL right now, but I can't give them true contender status, so I put them on the fringe contenders for sure.
I'm going to give them contender status like without any fringe stipulations. I mean, it's not year one for the players that are actually driving this thing.
Right.
I mean, with Dak and Zeke playing at the level they are and Pollard stepping up like that, I mean, they have the best rushing attack in football, averaging 170 rush yards per game. Like, now Dak is throwing the ball like just like he was last season, but the run game is there.
Yep.
It's now for the first time they've got Dak and Zeke both playing at a high level at the same time. Because before, when they were good, it was Zeke. Zeke was leading the league in rushing. Granted, he is top 5 in the league in rushing right now, even though people are trying to act like Pollard is taking his job. Pollard ain't top 5. Zeke is top 5.
Right.
See, that's ridiculous how they disrespect that man. But, I mean, they've got the most balanced offense in the NFL. I mean, when you've got 2 backs like that and then Dak out there slinging, he's got all those wide receivers to throw to between Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Gallup. I mean, like, Gallup has been out.
Yep.
And they're still killing it. I mean, it's going to be even more ridiculous when the man comes back.
Yep. Schultz has been absolutely balling for Dallas.
Like, their offense is like you really don't know which to do. If you try to shut down the run, Dak will throw for 400 or 500 yards on you. But if you leave it open on the middle, they just go run all day.
Yep.
And they'll put 200+ yards on you easily between those 2 backs.
Yep.
I mean, then you look at the other side of the ball with Trayvon Diggs and Micah Parsons. It's like that team is very well-rounded. I mean, their defense is good. Like, it's middle-of-the-road serviceable. It doesn't have to be elite when the offense is that good.
Yep.
When your offense is that good, a good defense is plenty enough. We saw Kansas City win a whole Super Bowl like that.
Yep. They've got enough pieces to bail them out to where they're not Dak Prescott reliant. They've got the run game and, like you said, the defense back to where it at least needs to be. Elite run game, serviceable defense.
Yeah. I mean, that absolutely will give them contender status. I mean, we get one more in before we hit the top of the hour. These days, man, the time is running away from me today. I might have to talk faster. The Arizona Cardinals, contenders or pretenders?
I hate to keep throwing out this fringe contender status, but Cliff Kingsbury is the sole person that makes me say, look, I don't think he can coach them to a Super Bowl. The defense is popping. I said it before we came in this year. This is a budding defense with a lot of talent. They're getting these really great superstar draft picks for the defensive side of the ball. We've known who Kyler Murray is. J.J. Watt is actually pressuring the quarterback. A.J. Green's getting, a little bit of production in there. We know about DeAndre Hopkins. We know about Christian Kirk. We knew that they were an explosive offense, right? And now the pieces are coming together. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about some of these masterminds that are in the NFL, can Cliff Kingsbury, out of all people who came in with a losing record, outcoach them? No, I don't think so. Now, contender, but on the fringe status for me.
I'm going to give them pretenders. I mean, if you just look at their schedule so far, they beat Tennessee. The Titans are not good.
Right.
Minnesota, they're like middle of the road.
Should have lost to them.
Yeah, they absolutely should have lost that game. They beat Minnesota because Minnesota missed a kick. You beat Jacksonville, and they didn't just handle them like they were supposed to. You beat the Rams after the Rams were suffering their Week 3 Super Bowl hangover. Like, I think anyone playing the Rams in Week 4 would have beat them because they they left it all on the field against Tampa.
Yep.
And then you beat a San Francisco team in Trey Lance's first start in a game where I don't know what the hell Mike Shanahan was thinking. Why did Trey Lance run the ball so much?
Yeah.
He had 16 carries, but he had like 5 holding calls, take back other runs. He was running the ball more than the running backs.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't even going to let him throw. So, I mean, that definitely lessens the wins that they have. You can't take away the fact that they're 5-0. They're winning games that they're supposed to win, but the way they're winning, I'm not sold on that at all.
Yeah.
I'm giving them pretender status for that. So we got 3 more of these, and it's the top of the hour already. We're going to throw this thing to Mike Beasley. For the top of the hour, we're going to come back and finish up these last because they're not getting skipped. We're going to talk about the Rams, the Packers, and the Bucks. That's happening. Spam, Mike Beasley, take this thing away one time.
Yes, sir. Famous facts. Fees, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in this Tuesday night edition of Petty Sports, brought to you by KINGZ Broadcasting Studios, of course. Thank you for liking, following, subscribing to the different pages on the different platforms. Go to the different podcast platforms as well. Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart, all those places. And check us out, man. Just type in Petty Sports with a Z. And, share us with some of your friends, neighbors, and coworkers. Call them. Let them know it's on and popping. You know, these guys are at the table. We see you in the chat room. You know what I'm saying? Jamila, you just really seem to be in love with losers. I don't really get that right there. But, you know what I'm saying? Hey, hey. I mean, it was a layup because she said something about Wilder. You know, like, golly, you really giving him props for getting his ass beat down like that. But hey, call into the show and get back at me, Jamila. 678-871-9602. 678-871-9602. We'd love to hear from you. You know what I'm saying? It's all fun and games over here. Like I said, like, follow, share, subscribe to the different platforms and pages, and rock with us. You know what I mean? Hey, Mike Bell, baby. ATL, ho.
What's going on, everybody? Top of the second hour here for Petty Sports on a Tuesday night. Guys, no phone calls yet. Like Mike Bell said, like Fee said, 678-871-9602. The question is not where is Petty Sports. The question is where do you consume your content? But if you don't do anything else, get in the chat, which y'all are always great about. But subscribe to the show, hit the bell, so you're always catching our content. All right, Fees, let's finish out our contenders and pretenders before we jump into some more great games that we had here. So, we just hit the Cardinals, correct? Now we're on to the LA Rams. LA Rams, contenders or pretenders for you?
LA Rams are pretenders to me. They're sitting at 4-1. They beat Chicago and Indy, neither of which I feel like are good football teams. They beat Seattle, also not a good team, and they should have beat Seattle by at least 30. That game was ridiculous with all the overthrows. Their good win is over Tampa, but they came in like that game was their Super Bowl. They put everything out on the line, and now what we're starting to see week in and week out, Stafford is starting to overthrow more and more passes. Like, it's becoming an issue. He's missing a lot of open receivers, and a lot of times he's missing guys that actually were in position to score touchdowns, and he's way overthrowing them. Their schedule is not very difficult, especially seeing as how San Francisco now has a lack of a quarterback, and Seattle has also fallen off a cliff. So what we once thought was the vaunted NFC West has now turned to like, none of them have quarterbacks anymore.
Right.
Like, they're definitely not that difficult to beat at this point. But I think they're going to have a really good record, so they're going to be there in January, and that's where they will get exposed with Stafford and all these overthrows. When you get into a major game where it's win or go home, missing throws like that on a consistent basis, there's no way I'm buying you winning a Super Bowl doing that.
Yep. Yeah, so I can't say pretenders. Again, I know it's just like my fourth fringe contender of the segment, but we're talking about Stafford having expectations for now a team that has talent. So there's more pressure on him. I said it as soon as they traded for him. Look, now you have a lot of pressure in this organization. And if there's one similarity between him being with Detroit and being with Los Angeles is Detroit could never run the football. They had no running game, so it always fell on Stafford. 5,000-yard seasons, 40 touchdowns, and it felt empty. Realistically, at the end of the day, nothing was able to work for him there. So now you bring him to the Rams where he obviously has more talent, but again, the Rams are not running the football well right now. So if you're going to ask Stafford to throw another 40, 50, 60 times, you're going to see these overthrows. You're going to see these routine throws where it's like, is he there? Is Matthew Stafford playing this game for us right now? So I know the defense is there. I know Sean McVay is a good coach, and I know that they have all the talent in the world. One of the highest flying offenses in the NFL. Do have to keep them as a fringe contender, though. So now the Green Bay Packers, contenders or pretenders, Fees?
Absolutely a pretender. Every year they make it to the NFC Championship game, and then they just get completely annihilated and embarrassed.
And every excuse for Aaron Rodgers gets made.
Exactly. They always make excuses for Aaron. I mean, they beat Detroit. They beat San Francisco, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati.
Yep.
I don't see any really good signature wins on this schedule. They got beat by 35 by the Saints in the opener, which, I mean, it's a game that looks like Aaron Rodgers threw it. But at 4-1, they're absolutely pretenders because they're so reliant on Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams.
Yep.
Like, every game they win, Adams is going for $150, 200 yards. Like, Aaron doesn't throw the ball to anyone else.
Yep.
It's all going to him. And it seems as if someone would maybe double him, put somebody on him on press and somebody else over the top and take him away.
Yep.
They're just letting this man run wild. Like, why are you single covering him?
Right.
Like, almost like, I haven't looked at this, but I guarantee you over 50% of Aaron Rodgers' targets are to Devontae.
Yeah.
It's all he throws to.
Yeah. Dude had a game last year with like 21 targets. Ridiculous. I think he had like 17 catches in that game. Absolute nuts. I have to agree with you, though. Packers are going to be pretenders. They're the quietest NFC team right now. They're the quietest, well-performing, I guess, 4-1 team in the NFL. And it just feels like white noise. It's the same old song and dance. LaFleur, being a rookie and a sophomore head coach, NFC championships, you have one at home. All the odds are against, Brady, people coming into Lambeau Field, all that. And you still come out. And you don't lay an egg, but you definitely don't play as well as you should have, and you lost yourself that football game. I don't see the Packers being in the conversation at the end of the year. And you can honestly take a look at some of their defense as well, because they always want to come out, not always, but they want to come out, give you a little bit of a defensive, stand-up, I guess, to where you want to buy into them, and it's, defense is falling off again, so I can't buy into the Packers. Definitely pretenders for me. The defending champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tampa Bay, whatever you want to call these dudes. Contenders or pretenders? Are they going back?
They're definitely contenders. I mean, they've got wins over Dallas, ATL, New England, Miami. The 3 of those 4 wins actually don't sound like much, but they're second in the league in scoring. Every week the defense is allowed less points, so it looks like it's trending in a better direction.
Yeah.
And they've got Tom Brady playing the best football of his entire career, and that's saying a lot. I mean, he's literally on pace to throw over 6,100 yards for 51 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions.
Jesus.
I mean, that would be beyond unanimous MVP, especially considering they could easily rattle off all these wins to be like around 15-2, 16-1.
Yep.
You have that kind of record with those kind of numbers, he's going to get an MVP. Their team just seems like it progressively gets better. They're always better at the end of the season. That's basically like the signature of a Brady team.
Right.
So I mean, they're definitely contenders.
Is that a caller right here? Uh-oh. Someone on the Petty Sports hotline calling in. Caller, if you're here with us. Uh-oh. I know exactly who it is. It's the lady, Fees. She's coming to rain on it. No, she's coming to tell me how good I look in this shirt. I know what she's doing. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Say it's in pretty low.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're going to get our caller back. But you said...
take on Tampa.
Anyways, take on Tampa, yeah, definitely. Contenders, of course. We know what they did before the season, bringing back all 11 on both sides of the ball. They're absolutely lighting it up. Yeah, their corners are a cause for concern because 3 of their 4 week 1 corners are now out. So you can definitely, have an aerial attack on Tampa, but they're still led by Tom Brady. They still have Bruce Arians. They still have an amazing defensive coordinator. And at the end of the day, they're going to be able to get back to the Super Bowl, if not contend for it. So definitely contenders here. Caller, are you with me? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Taylor.
Hi, how are you? What you got
Good,
for us today
how
on the
are
show? Tell us what you got for us on the show.
So, I know football season just started, but in y'all's best opinion, who do y'all think, based off of the numbers right now, that's going to go all the way to the top?
Fees, I'll let you hit it first.
Oh, yeah.
Who's winning the Super Bowl this year?
We just covered it. It's going to be a back-to-back Super Bowl for Tampa. I don't like it, but that's what it's going to be. We had to watch Tom celebrate another one outside of New England. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I got to agree with you, Fees. We said it coming in. Tom Brady being able to repeat. The Bills could go. We talked about the Bills and their offense. They're a balanced team, but at the end of the day, cutting right to it, yeah, it's got to be the Tampa Bay Bucks, 100%.
Awesome. I love you, Adam. It's nice to meet you, Steve. Y'all are doing great.
I love you too, babe. Thank you for calling into the show. Our one loyal caller of the night. We'll have more. She's gonna be the spark. Thank you, caller.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it. Do the same.
All right. Coming out of the Pretenders and Contenders, Fees, did you want to swing back to the top and hit the Cardinals and the Seahawks panic meter?
Oh, yeah, we can absolutely talk about that.
All right, G, we're going to swing back to the top at the end of the top 5 games of the week and hit those last 2 there. So Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, 5-0. They seem like they've slowed down a little bit here with the 49ers. 17-10 victory was definitely close, and the offense wasn't good. 3 for 10 on third down, less than 100 yards rushing. Kyler Murray was a little shaky in this game, but do you think the Cardinals will keep the play up that they had before the Niners and be able to go far with it?
I mean, I don't. Like, the Niners do have a good defense, but the offense was just so vanilla with Trey Lance out there. All they were doing was running with him, and Arizona couldn't even do a lot. Mm-hmm. It's like, if that's indicative of what they've got coming. I mean, we've watched Kyler many times over his short career to see that he is kind of like Russ, where he plays very well in the beginning of seasons and he wears down because he's doing a lot. Like, now it's pretty much just more of the same. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals are sitting at 5-0, and they're looking like they could be on their way to something, but I don't see more than a playoff run, maybe a divisional round.
Yeah.
I'm not all that impressed.
Right. Yeah, and, a lot of people can talk about the Cardinals potentially being the best team in football, and they have they definitely have a case. They have an argument for it, argument for it with the elite offense and the defense that is definitely budding. But I can't say that they're the best team in the NFL. You look at their schedule: Jacksonville, Minnesota, San Francisco struggling with them. And I do feel like Kyler Murray is slowing down a tad bit. He's still putting himself in that MVP conversation. But what is Cliff Kingsbury truly going to be when it gets thick? When you're getting down the road into a loaded NFC, or where you're going to be having these later games in the season, these interconference matchups, to where it's going to decide how your season is going to play out. I can't buy in on them being the best team in football right now, just because there are these teams that I feel like they should be completely putting behind them. Like you said, doesn't matter about the Bills schedule. They're beating people by 18 plus, or an average of 18 points. That's really not something that the Cardinals are doing right now. Now, these Seattle Seahawks, man, Russell Wilson going out with a finger injury, and it looks like Aaron Donald likes hurting quarterbacks. Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, throwing hand. We don't know what's going on with it, man. But with them now falling to a 2-3 record, depending on Geno Smith, Pete Carroll on my hot seat coming in. How high is the panic meter in Seattle right now?
The panic meter needs to be on 1,000 right now. I mean, just like the fat guy wearing a shirt that's too small, the button just pop. That's what Russell Wilson was. He's the Band-Aid that's been covering up a bad football team for at least 5 years now.
Yeah.
Without him there, I don't know that they're winning any of these games. They got Pittsburgh next, then the Saints, then Jacksonville. Jacksonville might get their first win over this Seattle team. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has been throwing the ball well. And against that defense, he should have one of his best games of his career. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Jacksonville beat them. They get a bye, then they got Green Bay and Arizona. I'm not taking Seattle to win any of those games.
Yep.
I mean, the panic meter is on fire, and Pete Carroll's seat's not going to be – he is not getting fired this year if the reason they fall off is because Russell Wilson's out.
Right. That's what will save him. 100%. Yeah. That's what was saying. I got to say the panic meter is about to break, like you said, on 1,000. The Seahawks are bugging right now. We knew, we saw the comments on the content that we had out on the channel, and all the talk from the Seattle fan base that we always hear is a really roaring fan base, and they were expecting NFC Championship, Super Bowl. Now that your star quarterback is down and you're depending on a Geno Smith, who oddly enough kind of played well in that game. Yeah, he threw the pick, but Tyler Lockett also tripped over his own feet, or so it seemed to be. But when you talk about Seattle wondering where do they turn to next, because your defense is bad again. Now you're depending on someone, Geno Smith, to where Pete Carroll was nothing Oh, do we have another caller with us?
Hey, man, this J Real ATL, baby. How y'all doing over there in Penny Sports, man?
Hey, what's up, J Real? How are you, brother?
What's poppin'?
Man, everything, man. I kind of disagree with you about Arizona being a fringe team, man, about, whether they're going to be a pretender or contender, man. Them guys holding it in the bowl. Kyler Murray doing his silver right now, man. A lot of people doubted that young cat, man, and he's stepping up to the plate. You know what I mean? So, don't be so rough on him. But, man, I got to say something about my Atlanta Braves, man. Them boys just brought it home tonight in a big way, man. You know what I'm saying? They just won the NLDS game here at home, man. And, man, I just want to say shot to them cats, man. So, yeah, that's it, man. Y'all keep it up, Penny Sports. You know what I'm saying? ATL, peace out.
Jay Real, appreciate you. Yeah, I did just see that. The Braves onto the NLCS. What a clinching win, winning 5-4. And Braves are here to prove something. Dogs are trying to go far. Braves have already established themselves in the playoffs. Don't know what they're going to truly run to. But congratulations to the Braves, man. I didn't think they were going to pull it out tonight. Huge W against the Milwaukee Brewers. But talking about these Seahawks, I definitely think that the panic meter is high because, where do you go? How is your offense going to turn out now? We've seen your offense get figured out season in and season out. When it gets thick, now it's thick early on with an injury. I think they fall off, and I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, honestly, at this point. It's too much time for Russell Wilson to miss, man.
Oh, yeah. I would just urge all of the Falcons and Braves and Hawks and Bulldogs and everyone, all the Atlanta teams, pump your brakes. Like, man, celebrate when they actually get there. Y'all have had your heart snatched out of your chest way too many times. Like, just temper the excitement. It would be good for your blood pressure.
Temper the excitement. All right, Fees, let's go ahead and hop into our fast three here before we get into week 6 of the NFL. So Sam Darnold unraveled again against the Philadelphia Eagles, which was a big surprise for me. Totally dudded out for me in fantasy. But the Eagles with a surprise win, 21-18. Are the Panthers now revealing who they truly were through all this time? They just had a good little 3 games, I guess.
I really don't think so, actually. I mean, the Panthers were never going to be contending to actually, get a first-round bye or be a top team in the NFC.
Yeah.
I think if they go over 500, I think that's great. I mean, Sam Darnold has proven that he's a much better quarterback than what he looked like with the Jets, but he's still not elite. You expect to have – you're going to get some games like this out of Sam. He's still Sam. He's much better than Zach Wilson, but he's still Sam. And I saw this one coming. I picked Philly to win this game. So no, I don't really think that there's anything's been revealed or they should be on any type of panic. I mean, he's gonna have more good games than bad, but when he plays bad, you get bad.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, you get the old Sam Darnold. You get the, 1 interception through 3 weeks and now 5 interceptions through the last 2 weeks. That is what, Sam Darnold is trending on right now. Yep. And 3-2 feels a lot different than what could be a 4-1 or a 5-0 team. But when you talk about what's happened with the Panthers the last couple weeks, they got absolutely shell-shocked by the Cowboys. Came in giving up 10 points. They gave up over 30. Came in giving, really no rushing yards, gave up a bunch of rushing yards to the Cowboys. And they got blown out of the water. They were not good in any, well, they didn't get blown out of the water, but the defense definitely got shell-shocked in that game. And that was the story of the Panthers before they went and played Dallas. Now you have them. Sam Darnold's not getting any protection. When you double Sam Darnold not getting any protection with how Sam Darnold has played earlier in his career, you're going to get the same guy that you had in New York. They weren't protecting him. You had the whole seeing ghost thing. I don't think that's the case here in Carolina. But at the end of the day, you're getting that Sam Darnold that you don't want to see. When the Panthers traded for him, it was a very odd look. And now it seems that Sam Darnold is rearing his head from the player he was in New York, not who he needs to be in Carolina. But they just have to recover because one game against Dallas shouldn't derail your season. And this shows the youngness of the team. They got to grow more. They got to be closer together in that aspect. But the Steelers, here you go, Jamila. Go ahead and tune in. Jamila, you better call the show with all the Steelers talk that you have every single week. So Big Ben did come in and pull out a W against the Broncos. I actually thought that I thought that I picked the Broncos, but I ended up having the Steelers. I know you had the other end there. But with Big Ben having this W here, does it show that he maybe still has a little bit left in the tank?
No, Denver was a super pretender. We were never sold on them for any of the wins that they got. Nope. mean, we did actually think their defense would be able to slow down Baltimore, but that's when they were exposed. So not surprised at this at all. I thought they would beat Pittsburgh, but it's not saying much. Neither of those teams are very good. And even though Big Ben did play a much better game, he was 15 of 25 for 253 yards.
Right.
That's not impressive. I mean, that's a very average game.
Right.
He has nothing left in the tank.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Big Ben has looked so rough towards the end of his career. You know, if there's one thing I can say about some of the older quarterbacks we've seen in the past is, for the most part, they've stepped away when they know their time is not there anymore. With the elbow injury a couple years ago, the Steelers absolutely being exposed last year, and then looking at the record that they're sitting at now, this Steelers team has to search for another quarterback. They have to now get over the hump of Big Ben. Look, the Saints have had to do it. The Falcons are going to have to do it eventually. The Bucs had to do it. The Patriots had to do it. The Niners are having to do it. Like, you have teams out here. You've got to understand when the time to move, or when the time to move present itself, you have to be there, because you're going to get put behind by seasons after draft class if you're not aware enough to get your quarterback out of that situation. The offense, again, you know, it's not looking pretty. Really no rush yards with Najee Harris over there like they wanted to grab him for in the draft. And the Steelers definitely need a makeover for sure. So sorry to tell you that, Jamila, but your Steelers are not looking good this year. They're definitely underperforming. But now we talk about the San Francisco 49ers. Trey Lance did get his first start. Did look horrible, but now we've got an injury, or potential injury, with your backup quarterback. And I said it too. I said, look, Jimmy's going to get hurt. If Trey Lance gets a little shaken up, who are you turning to? Where does Shanahan go? Does he even last after this season with the Niners?
This could be it for him. I mean, 4 seasons, only 1 winning season? Granted, it was a trip to the Super Bowl, but you didn't win it. And it was largely in part to your horrible play calling after you had a lead. And now they're sitting up. They got the Colts, the Bears, the Cardinals, and the Rams next. Those are 4 really good defenses. If you don't even have Trey Lance, I mean, with Trey Lance starting, I don't see them beating any of those teams, because he's just not polished enough. Like, especially if you think you're going to run him all game against those defenses, he's absolutely going to get hurt. So they better hope that he heals up coming out of the bye, but it's not looking good for Shanahan. He's going to end up looking for a new job at the end of this season.
Yeah, Shanahan being 31 and 38 right now, not a good look. One season, I mean, you put it all out there, man. One season with a healthy quarterback who has a lot of questions around him. Yeah, it was a Super Bowl year, and Shanahan should already have a couple Super Bowl rings. So, you know, when he took the leap from Atlanta to San Francisco, a lot of people wondered, just because he had a couple of prolific years as an offensive coordinator, or not a couple, but, you know, he had his stints there. Yeah. Was he ready to take the leap to head coach? And we understand everything that's been thrown at Shanahan, but you still have to learn, and you still have to find a way to come out on top and put your team in a position to be successful. And I don't think Shanahan's done that enough in his career. How can, you know, the faithful to the Bay crew be behind this anymore? How can they truly want Shanahan still running a team that has enough talent to run deep? We saw it before. We know what the Niners can be. They weren't there long ago. But as far as Shanahan, after this season, I think they start looking for another coaching hire as well, because you have to wonder, how long do you keep having to give excuses, and how long do you have to rinse and repeat before? Okay, like I said, if you don't realize the time to change, you're going to get put behind by seasons and draft classes, and it's not going to look good for you at the end of the day. But let's go ahead and pop into the weekend watch. Week 6 is upon us, and I can't believe 5 weeks of the NFL is already gone, man. We've got contenders and pretenders out. I know we're going to be talking about our awards towards the middle of the season, changing those up. The NFL is flying by us. And let's get into the weekend watch for week 6. So we've got the Chargers traveling to see the Ravens. It's a huge game, but which team needs this win more to say we're actually pushing for Super Bowl 56?
I think the Ravens need the win much more, just to prove that they can keep winning these games over big teams, and just for how they've looked so far. Like, the way you got down to the Colts so much and they had to come back like that.
Yeah.
If you get down to the Chargers 25-9, what you're not doing is coming back. You're not going to throw for another 300 yards in the second half and come back against the Chargers. They're going to keep scoring because your defense is not that good. If you've got people like Carson Wentz out there slinging it on your defense, I mean, what's his name? Jared Goff, he had a very good game against that defense. Like, the Baltimore Ravens defense is not what it used to be. It's not actually helping Lamar out at all. He's having to dig these games out, and that's not a good look.
Yeah.
They need the game more, and they're not going to win it.
Got the Ravens losing, so the Ravens losing this one.
At home.
Oh, that's tough. I say the Ravens too, because the Ravens have been on the cusp for a while now. We know Lamar has, he's in a point now to where he's showing us he can do things that he wasn't able to do before. He's taken that leap. I think he maybe has the best growth of a quarterback we've seen so far this year, honestly, with Lamar Jackson. And it can't be a situation to where you're losing to a rookie head coach in Brandon Staley. You know, you're losing to a sophomore in Justin Herbert. You're losing to a Chargers team that isn't supposed to be this good, but that's not going to be a knock on Los Angeles either, because we both just said, like, these guys could be in the running at the end of the year for it. But with Lamar looking comfortable throwing the football, and like I said, week in and week out, what is Lamar going to be able to show us this week with the Chargers team? Because this makes me believe between the two defenses that we have facing off right now, it's either going to be an absolute barn burner or it's going to be a defensive showdown to where it's going to come down to one play, one possession, maybe one turnover. And I don't know who I put more eggs in the basket to decide that game, Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson. And there's no question, of course, that the Chargers could use this game. Like I said, it feels like a rebuild, I guess. New head coach, Justin Herbert getting thrown in, having everybody come back healthy. But you got to give credit to Brandon Staley, and you've got to give credit to that front office for the players that they brought in the offseason and the way that they drafted to build this Chargers team up. I am going to take the Chargers here with a close win. Don't know about a score. I know we're going to get into the spread later. It's going to be a crazy game, and I definitely think it's going to be the game of the weekend. Now we talk about Kyler Murray and his Arizona Cardinals walking into this week, and they're going to go face Cleveland. And Cleveland's a little bit of a mystery now. Like we said, they seem to have found their offense, but they feel like an inconsistent football team at the moment. Do you think Cleveland can pull off a W here? And they are favored at home.
Yeah, man, I think Cleveland needs this game very bad. So what you're going to get is a team that has their back up against the wall, that has an amazing roster on both sides of the football, that actually comes out here playing with desperation against an Arizona team that's kind of just been backpedaling into this 5-0, and they're looking less and less like the killer that their record would suggest that they are. I think this is the end of the undefeateds for this season, and we'll have Mercury Morris and them popping their bottles of champagne for their stupid 17-0 1972 season again.
Oh, man. So Cleveland seems, to have found themselves kind of, like I said, with the last game. The last game against the Chargers, but I'm not going to bank on them to immediately come out again and, put up 25 plus points with the way they had been playing over the last few weeks. And with, Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray is the quarterback matchup we have here. Kyler Murray is clearly the better player. I think if you're asking it to come down to a close game to where you've got to put the ball in your best player's hands, we're probably not talking about Baker Mayfield. We're talking about Nick Chubb. Or it could, as much as it should be OBJ second on that list, he's not being involved enough. And we're talking about Kyler Murray being able to engineer a comeback, being able to win a game when it's close. And at the end of the day, I feel like the Cardinals have been slipping against some bad teams to where, like I said, a Jacksonville, a Minnesota, these guys should be absolutely out of the water. It should be where, yes, 17-10 against San Francisco, but I think it should have been a much more victory than that. And we know San Francisco has a good defense, but at the end of the day, the Cardinals slipping a little bit does bring me some cause for concern, which is why I had them, on the fringe contender status along with the coaching. But I am going to take the Cardinals actually to win this game. It will be a close one, but solely because I trust Kyler Murray being able to win a game over Baker Mayfield and the crew if it comes down to a crucial play here.
Okay.
Last one here on our weekend watch, which we know it's kind of a weak one here, guys. But we had to pull the best games that we could, man. It was left and right. Like, Fees, which one do we really put in? Bills at Titans, and Bills again kind of feels like a fool's gold team. Titans, maybe you're trying to rebound. Could they engineer an upset here?
I mean, it's very possible. Like, we saw this last year when the Buffalo Bills looked like they were just unstoppable, and they played Tennessee. I think it was on a Tuesday night when the game got moved.
Yep.
And Tennessee beat the brakes off of them. Buffalo does have a tendency to just straight up fold in a game every now and then. This could be that game. Granted, I'm not calling it. Tennessee's defense is just god-awful. Even if Derrick Henry gets off, they've gotten beat bad in games where Derrick Henry has gone for over 150 yards. So it's like, all right, you can't beat us with that. Mm-hmm. So I don't really see anything different. It's in prime time. It seems like the whole Ryan Tannehill is a top 10 quarterback in the league thing is a thing of the past, and the Tennessee Titans are just in a bad division as a bad team sitting at the top, and it's no more than that. They're gonna get smashed.
Yeah, absolutely think the Bills are going to roll through them as well. You know, we're not talking about a pass rush that is going to trouble Josh Allen. We're not talking about a defense in general that's going to trouble Josh Allen. And the Titans, again, you know, that's another team to where people thought about Julio Jones coming in and having A.J. Brown and a Ryan Tannehill and a Derrick Henry, and it's just underperforming, not living up to those expectations at the end of the day. And you have to ask yourself, you know, are the Bills going to let a team like this potentially that is kind of sputtering right now give a hiccup for them? And you don't want to see that at the end of the day. You absolutely don't want to see that from the Bills, because this is a team that, you know, I even said it. They've got my Super Bowl pick right now. They 100%, not my Super Bowl pick right now, but when we went into, you know, the predictions walking into this year, the Buffalo Bills, I thought were going to represent the AFC, but they can't let the Titans let the Titans get them slipped up here. Wesley, I see you over there in the chat, man. Yeah, you're hoping Jamila stop smoking that stuff. Steelers are back. Stairway to 7. Oh, y'all are all over the place. Jamila, calm down over there for me, please. Wesley, I need you to call in, man. We're always over here talking about the Titans. Not always over here talking about the Titans, but you're always in the chat talking about Tennessee. What's up with your team, bro? What's going on with them? I know y'all got some injuries right now, but y'all are not the Titans that you were supposed to be, the Super Bowl contenders, winners of the AFC East. Such a bad division. Like, yeah, you're playing well, but bad division, man. Bad division. Where are y'all? I mean, seriously, what's going on with them? Wesley, I need you to call in, man. Every week, you're in the chat. Jamila, you as well. Talking about the Steelers. There's some hot topics here. We can have y'all in on the content in the show every week. Y'all type over 100 comments a week in the chat easily. Look right here. Wesley, Jamila, Wesley, Jamila, 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 Wesley, Jamila, Jamila. Oh, reply from Wesley. Jamila, Wesley, Jamila tagging Wesley, Wesley tagging Jamila. See? Y'all could be up here. We could put y'all in on a call if you wanted to.
Well,
I mean, maybe.
how about they just go ahead and get a room and call it quits?
Oh, man. He'll take a terrible towel.
AFC South might actually be the worst division in football.
I said AFC East. Whoops. AFC South. My bad. Got me so messed up here, man.
It's the only division that has no contenders.
Right. I mean, yeah, seriously. You ain't lying, man. You ain't lying. But let's go ahead and get on to the Week 6 picks and spreads. Mike Bell, I'm going to throw it over to you real fast for the 9:30 break, and then we're going to get into it. Take us away.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Once again, Jamila and Wesley, calm down. Go ahead and get a room, like I said. You know what I'm saying? Go get a room somewhere and just hash it out. You know what I'm saying? And y'all be the best of buzz, all right? Yo, thanks for tuning in tonight. We appreciate y'all, everybody that's tuning in, everybody that shared the show tonight. You know what I'm saying? Call in at 678-871-9602, 678-871-9602. We love to hear from you, your opinion about anything that has been discussed tonight or maybe not been discussed. And we'll oblige. Check us out on the different platforms. You know what I'm saying? We love to get your support over there on iHeartRadio, Google, Spotify, Apple, all that right there, man. So, yo, support, like, follow, share, subscribe, listen, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, all that right there, man. You know what I'm saying? Hit them thumbs up, those emojis, all that, man. You know, we keep it real grimy over here. You know what I'm saying? Famous Facts Fees and our guy, Adam Lewis, they do it every week for you guys. You know what I'm talking about? So keep supporting. We love y'all, man. Without no you, there is no us. ATL, hold back to the regular scheduled program.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. NFL Week 6 picks and spreads. You know we hop in every single week, straight up picking the winners, keeping the tabs every week, keeping the season record. And Gary, I think we actually got a little graphic to show our season records, who we picked last week. Fees and I are 50 and 30. Yep, there we go. See, obviously, A for Adam, F for Fees. Yes, I had faith in the Jets in London over the Falcons. Y'all don't make fun of me now. But Fees really thought the Browns were going to beat the Chargers, so there we go. What a week, though. Both of us going 10-6, and we're both sitting
wasn't as
at
ridiculous.
50. he said you had faith in the Jets. I said, no, I really had more faith in the Falcons blowing it at 9:30 in the morning to a Jets team. Either way, though, we both lost out on the pot. Congratulations to who again on the NFL pick'em? Maybe y'all watching, man.
Rowan.
Rowan.
Weaver.
Yeah, congratulations, Rowan, on taking home the pot. 15 W's, I think he had, right? Overall.
Yeah.
Shoo.
He only missed one game.
Yeah. What a pick. What a way to pick. Well, let's go ahead now, get into our week 6 prediction. So we've got Tampa Bay at the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly +7. Of course, this seems like an easy one. I'm going to take Tampa. No explanation. Maybe their secondary could try to cause problems for how Philly just did for the, who did they just beat? We were just talking about Carolina. Maybe they could cause problems for them. And, maybe they could try to find some receivers busting through on Tampa's secondary. Don't bank on it, though. I think Tampa takes this one easily, and they cover the spread.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is going to be an ugly game for Philly, just like how Dallas ran through Philly. Tampa Bay is going to do the exact same thing. It won't be anything like that Carolina game because Tom Brady is not Sam Darnold. You're not going to be able to confuse him that way.
Right.
So it's going to look bad. And it's a Thursday night game. I mean, it'll be exciting to watch Jalen Hurts because he's an electric player, but they're going to get destroyed.
Yeah. I agree with you. Moving on next to Miami at Jacksonville. Jacksonville +3 playing in London early in the morning, correct?
Yep.
London
There we
games
are always 9:30.
Yep. So back-to-back weeks. Interesting. Okay. For some reason, I thought they would have maybe put them on the same or just had one. But Jacksonville +3. Who do you got in this one?
I'm going to take the Jaguars to get a W right here. I mean, they've been increasingly looking better from week to week. I mean, Trevor Lawrence seems like he's starting to get his feet underneath him just a little bit, and Miami is a very bad team. Jacoby Brissett is not it. Like, that's why he was backing up a second-year quarterback that we also weren't sold on. That doesn't really speak well for you to come in and be like, oh, he's going to fix it. It's like he was behind a guy that they didn't have faith in. So, like, no, I have nothing for Miami. They're going to lose. I have no idea why they're favored. Like, they're favored by 3 points. So I'm absolutely going Jacksonville all day with that game.
I'm going to take Jacksonville here as well for a upset +3. I just think right now with the way, yes, Jacksonville is obviously still struggling right now in the league, but the Dolphins don't look great either. And this is the perfect game for Jacksonville to jump on it. And a win right now would mean a lot for Urban Meyer. Yeah, of course, he's still kind of in the spotlight, but, things come and go so quick in the NFL. And this would help. There's been issues with him already, and getting a win here for Jacksonville would be major. And we would like to see Trevor Lawrence win at least one game in his rookie year. I think we all would for the number 1 overall pick. But now moving on to Packers at Bears. Bears are +4.5. And we get a little bit of Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields here. This is going to be fun. We've heard some of the comparisons from Fields to Rodgers. I think that's a little far. But either way, Packers at Bears. Who wins this one?
I mean, it's definitely going to be Green Bay. But with the 4.5-point spread, I'm almost weary of it the same as I was last week with Cincinnati. I have faith in Aaron Rodgers pulling the game out, but I don't have faith in them covering any spreads because their defense is not very good. I don't think they're going to really get pressure on Justin Fields, so Fields is going to be able to move the ball, and Chicago is going to score points. I think ultimately they lose, but I'll take Green Bay, and once again, not with that spread.
not with that spread, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, man, because Chicago seems like they want to put up some fight right now. They're definitely coming off of 2 wins there. Well, not 2 wins, but coming off of no, it is 2 wins, isn't it? They beat the Lions when Justin Fields bought out, and then they just beat the Raiders. So they're coming off 2 wins there in Chicago, and they're feeling good. They're feeling hot. We're finally seeing Justin Fields to get, a little better each week. He didn't look the best last week, but the week before with Detroit showed a lot of promise. And when we're talking about here with the Green Bay defense, that I don't think it's going to give you major problems. Yeah, they're going to have a pass rush into which hopefully we're not looking at, Justin Fields versus the Browns again when we're talking about potentially that pass rush from Green Bay. But I do take the Packers here to win this game. Spread is a little funky, yeah, so I don't know if I would totally ride on that, but there's no reason that the Packers shouldn't win this football game. Now talking about the Bengals at the Lions, and this could maybe be a sneaky shootout. We're talking about Jared Goff. We're talking about Joe Burrow, and just 2 teams that want to put up points at will. 2 not bad teams, but they were kind of floating on the same spectrum before we walked in. Are you going to take Burrow or Goff to get a win for their team here?
Now, this is probably the most difficult game on the slate to pick, as Detroit could just come out with an aerial assault and this be a game where you're like, wow, like Jared Goff really lit it up.
Yep.
But this could also be a Cincinnati game where you turn around and say the same thing about Joe Burrow because he has been playing extremely well. They are on the road playing in Detroit, and, I mean, they're coming off of a devastating loss after all those missed field goals against Green Bay. But I think ultimately in this game, it's just going to come down to Cincinnati has more horses on offense, but I think it'll be a very high-scoring game, and I'm still having extreme difficulty just taking Cincinnati. You know what? I'm going to take Detroit. I feel like Detroit's winning.
Oh, circling it now. He brought out the pen. He's going to tell me to circle the picks after the show. He's already got it down. Taking Detroit with an upset. All right, Detroit is plus 3.5. I got to take the Bengals here. Don't see a reason that the Bengals should get troubled in this game. Maybe, like we said, it could be a shootout just because they both want to put up points at will. I like Joe Burrow here, though. I like Jamar Chase to have a big game and for the Bengals to take home a W here. Absolutely. Now we talk about the Houston Texans at the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are minus 10. And this feels like a game the Colts could lose, honestly, just because they've been so streaky. Should have pulled out a win, last night, and they absolutely didn't. Texans at Colts. Who takes home the W?
Man, I'm going to take the Colts, but that 10-point line is just ridiculous. I don't know who thought that Indy's offense was so good that they should be favored by that much to beat anybody. Their defense isn't world beaters on that level. I mean, Houston showed you last week against New England that they actually, like Davis Mills, can actually orchestrate some drives. They're going to score points against Indy. I just don't think they'll beat them. Indy's defense is good enough to stop them from overtaking them in this game, but I got Indy definitely not with 10 points. They're not covering that.
Yeah, I'll take Indianapolis to win as well, but I think it'll be a close one. Don't trust the spread at all. I don't trust either of these teams when it gets into it, but Carson Wentz is obviously better than Davis Mills, maybe not by much, who knows. But we know we have the benefit of the roster with the Colts over the Texans at this point. Like I said, it could be a close one, but I will take the Colts to win here. Rams at Giants. Giants are only plus 10.5. This is another one of those weird ones where what does Vegas know that we don't? Rams at Giants.
I mean, I'm taking the Rams. It must be one of those things where Vegas is like, Aaron Donald ain't playing. Saquon's going to get off. I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
Right.
Something's coming down the wire that we haven't heard yet. I mean, that spread does seem dangerously low unless they're really actually banking on this is time for the Stafford decline. All those overthrows, I mean, he definitely cost people in that Seattle game against that spread.
Yep.
They should have beat Seattle way worse than they beat them. They're still winning games, but they're not beating them the way they should.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm scared of their spread. I'm definitely not actually going to bet on that one. Taking the Rams, but I ain't betting on that game at all.
Yeah, Rams minus 10.5. That's just too much of a spread for a Rams team, like you just said, to where it does seem like Stafford is, rearing his ugly head, not his ugly head rather, but the way that he's overthrowing these passes and
that's ugly.
yeah, definitely. When you're seeing him revert back to some of these old Stafford ways, and I know people are going to jump in the comments and say that this, that, and the third is happening. And look, we know the Rams offense is big. We know that they've got players. We know that they can ball out. But how is it going to be when you're truly asking Stafford to get into it? I am going to take the Rams here to win the game. There's no question about that. But the line and the reasoning there, yeah, it's definitely a little shaky for sure. Kansas City at Washington, and I know some people are going to think Kansas City is going to absolutely roll here, but they're shaky. Like, they're feeling desperate for a win, and I think they come in not doubting anybody that's on the other side of that football. Yeah, it might be Washington. Who cares, though? Chiefs at Washington football team.
I'm going to take the Chiefs. I mean, they're in that backs up against the wall desperation mode. The way they've been losing games, they've been scoring points. They just can't protect the football. But Washington's defense that we all talked about last year is a thing of the past. Washington's defense is not that good anymore.
Nope.
I mean, Kansas City should be able to score enough points to even overcome their turnover issues. Because Washington, Taylor Heineke is actually not bad. But Washington's defense isn't that good. So now they're actually relying on him to win games. That's a bit much for him.
Right. Yeah, Taylor Heineke is not going to be able to outduel Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs want to win right now so badly, straight up. They want one. They need one. They're not wanting to fall to 2-4, especially not to an NFC least team, especially not to Washington. I mean, like you said, they have totally regressed. I mean, it feels like they're nothing of what they were last year. And you have also the same thing with the Chiefs. It feels like they're kind of nothing of what they were last year. Yeah, they have the offense, but man, this team is totally different. They're not taking care of the football. And this could be a close one. I am going to take the Chiefs here, though. But I honestly don't know if it's going to be a comfortable win for Kansas City at this point. Now we talk about the Vikings at the Panthers. Panthers are -1, and the Panthers have been shell-shocked. Sam Darnold's kind of reverting back to his old ways, and the Vikings really, really want to win. They play really hard, and they're going to be looking for one here. Vikings at Panthers.
I mean, I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers in this game. So I think the Minnesota is really going to be, like, they're very heavily dependent on Dalvin Cook. The Carolina Panthers do have a very good rush defense, but I know in the past couple of weeks it hasn't quite been that.
Right.
But like, this is a very traditional football team they're playing against. They're not worried about Kirk Cousins running out of the pit. They're going to stack the box and dare Cousins to beat him with his arm, and I don't think he's able to do it. Sam Darnold will bounce back, have a decent game. I mean, I can see a good, like, 275, 280, and 3 touchdowns for Darnold. It won't be an amazing game. It'll be enough for them to win.
Enough for them to win. This is a hard one to pick, man, because as much as we want to say enough for Carolina to win it, that feels like it's just enough for them to lose it with, Minnesota's going to be wanting Dalvin Cook back. I don't know about the status of him in this weekend's game, but we know Madison's been balling. Justin Jefferson's absolutely been out there in Minnesota, and they are just a team that always comes out. They always play hard. They might have a bad record, but at the end of the day, they're going to take you down to the wire, and Carolina being -1, it's obvious why they're out there. It's really hard for me to pick a winner in this one. I'm going to take Minnesota with an upset, though, knocking Carolina down to 3-3. They're going to face their 3rd straight loss, and all of a sudden, Carolina's world is going to be turned upside down. And Minnesota, like I said, they are just seething for a victory right now. I think that this is where they find it. Chargers at Baltimore. We said this is going to be the game of the week. Baltimore is -3.5. There's going to be a lot of money won and a lot of money lost on this game. Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson to get a W for their team?
I'm taking Justin. That's because I think the Baltimore Ravens start too slow. If you continually get down like that and expect to come back, there are teams in this league that score too much for you to do it. I don't think Baltimore's defense is good enough for them to do their part in the comeback.
Right.
Lamar could end up starting to be on fire and heating up and throwing for a lot of yards and scoring points, but the Chargers are going to keep scoring as well.
Right.
So it won't be enough to come back. I don't really understand why they're favored to win this game. It's not really, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, the Ravens being -3.5, it feels like it could be a push, really, on this entire game because both of these guys are really evenly matched. I mean, you're looking at some of the power rankings. People think these are the best 2 teams in the NFL right now, and you can't really argue with what they've shown you so far on the tape. I do think the Chargers are a better balanced team. I do trust just a little more Justin Herbert over Lamar Jackson. And look, I never thought it would be a close decision for me in that aspect because Lamar has done a lot this year. Absolutely love the way that he's transitioning or really growing a lot in that quarterback position. And, like I said, it's going to be one of 2 ways. It's either going to be an absolute shootout or it's going to be a defensive stand up to where one play, series turnover is going to decide this game. I do have the Chargers taking the victory here, though, and they're going to pull off the upset, I guess. Like I said, a lot of money won, a lot of money lost on this game going into this weekend. Oh, yeah. Now we've got Arizona at Cleveland. Cleveland is -3, and this is another line that is going to be shaky. But like I said, Cardinals have kind of slowed down. The Browns have found their offense, or so they say. But who proves more this weekend? Who do you have with the W?
I think Cleveland proves more because they need a signature win under their belts. They've been in a lot of tight games. I mean, they do have the horses on both sides of the football. So they can win over the Arizona Cardinals will really put Cleveland back to where they need to be, just confidence-wise, if nothing else. They've got to get a W under their belt and a win over a 5-0 Arizona team. That'll have them back with that swag that they had coming into the season. Like, hey, we made the divisional round last year. We're going all the way this year.
Yep. They're going to have to get this win back under their belt to give Stefanski, Mayfield, Chubb, all those guys confidence because the Browns are underperforming. The Browns are not that team we thought they were going to be walking into this year. I know you had them in the Super Bowl. You're not pulling off, and I don't blame you because I think they can find themselves. But this is a much-needed win. You're talking about, dethroning, per se, the Arizona Cardinals as the only undefeated team in the NFL. But at the end of the day, like I mentioned earlier when we got into it, what is it going to be when Kyler Murray and Baker Baker Mayfield are going to be asked at one point or another to make a play in that game. That's where I don't trust Baker. That's why I have Kyler Murray stepping up, pulling off another upset of the weekend, I guess, and now you have the Cardinals with the W. On to the last few games here before we pop out. Got about 10 minutes left here on the show. Raiders at Broncos, and Broncos are favored by 3 points. This is another odd game. Bad schedule this week, odd lines. Who knows? Raiders or Broncos?
Yeah, the line went up to 3.5 after Gruden. So he cost them another half point.
Gruden's worth half a point? Wow.
Yep, that's what it was.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, the way the Raiders came out last week, it seems like just with all of the turmoil going on, it's just things aren't looking good for them. But what I will say is what I have noticed in the past and like just across sports, when a coach gets fired, the team usually comes back the next game, and all of a sudden they seem like they're inspired, and whoever the interim is that steps in always seems to have the juice the next week.
Falcons.
Always. Yeah, they came right back and won. I mean, the same thing happened with the Hawks.
Yep.
But, like, we've seen this so many times where it's like, okay, they're in a disarray. Like, yeah, they were when they were talking about firing the coach, and the players didn't play for him.
Yep.
Now they're going to play inspired. Denver is nowhere near as good as their record said that they were in the beginning of the season in the first place. I think the Raiders go into Mile High, take a W off the back of this whole Gruden nonsense. Now that he's gone, the team is actually going to play like they're supposed to.
All right.
I just changed my pick.
All right. So the Raiders with a W here. This is going to be an odd game because you have one team in the Raiders to where, like you said, you feel like they could come out, be so focused, just looking for that W, wanting to really ride off that bad narrative. But also, like, what's going through these players' heads? How do they feel as a team? Is their chemistry still there? Are they trusting in that organization, in that Raiders culture that had a lot of hype, through the first few weeks in the NFL? And Raider Nation has always been huge with the fan base. They always have high expectations for their team. Who wouldn't? And with the Broncos, I was never bought in on them. Yeah, their secondary is great, but they had played arguably the 3 worst teams in the NFL. And I think they're going to have their hands full here with the Raiders. I do have the Raiders taking this victory. I don't know how the game necessarily is going to play out, but I think the Raiders will pull this one off here in a really weird and maybe ugly way. But now we have Dallas at New England. New England plus 3.5, and this is going to be a fun game. We're going to see Bill Belichick do what he does best, take away an offense, and make them play left-handed. Is it enough for the Patriots to upset, though?
I mean, I'm still just kind of figure out how the line is 3.5. We had extreme trouble last week stopping Davis Mills. Dak Prescott is way better than Davis Mills. The Dallas offense has pretty much been a puzzle that no one's been able to solve yet this season. They've been clicking on all cylinders. So I think Bill may be able to put together a scheme that can possibly slow it down. I don't think New England can't score enough points to keep up with Dallas. It's just not enough firepower. That's asking entirely too much of Mac. They did surprise us in the Tampa Bay game, but that was a highly emotional game where Bill knows Tom well enough to where he could throw things at him that he knows actually throw him off. You don't actually have that same kind of luxury in this game. You've got a well-oiled machine in Dallas coming in that you don't really know anything about. And you don't have the horses to just completely shut it down. The defense is top 5, but Dallas's offense is top 3.
Right.
Actually, I think they're second.
Yep.
They're right behind Buffalo.
Right.
So, I mean, while New England should be able to stay in the game and stay competitive, I don't see them winning it.
Yeah. I got to agree with you, man. Dallas is they're high flying right now. They're feeling hot. Defense is serviceable, like you said. So we know with Mac Jones, with the offense, the way it's going right now, it's really tough to get yards and points for your Patriots, man. We've talked about it. And with the way Dallas's defense is able to play, we could see a lot of stifling. We could see a very large margin of victory here for the Dallas Cowboys. Even if Belichick does put his best game up, this is a team that, talking about Dallas, their offense is prolific right now. We know the receiving core. Zeke is coming back to life, and Dak Prescott off of the injury, just absolutely wow. I will take Dallas to win this game here, and it could be ugly, unfortunately. Seahawks.
He has issue with mobile quarterbacks as well.
Bill does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we never beat Cam.
Yep. There you go, man.
And Deshaun gave us problems. Anyone who can run, I don't know how many. I would have to actually go back and look to see how many offenses as prolific as Dallas is right now with the two-headed running game and all of these top-flight receivers actually had a mobile quarterback that could throw like that.
Right.
Like, that's an added element that makes it impossible to defend.
Yep. Agree with you, man. Totally agree with you. Last two games here before we roll out of our NFL Week 6 picks and spreads. So Seahawks at Steelers. Steelers are -4 at home. Big Ben with a little bit of juice left in the tank, I guess, versus Geno Smith. And a really, really underperforming Seahawks and Steelers team as well. Seahawks or Steelers?
I mean, I'll take the Steelers just because you have to pick someone to win the game. I really feel like they've got to flex this game out. They have time. Why is this on Sunday Night Football?
Oh, God. That's
a break. So, I mean, I think what the NFL was going for here is this was like a mid-season tribute to the ladies. Like, we're going to give you guys a break and put a game on Sunday night that nobody wants to see so y'all can watch TV. Just watch a movie. Y'all can go do something. Go out to dinner. Anything. Not watching that.
It's like, yeah, babe, we can go out because this garbage game is on Sunday night.
Watch Squid Games.
I need to get more into that series, man. I keep falling asleep, but I know it's what. And I'm mad because I'm seeing all the memes. They're putting it in sports and real estate and everything, and I don't understand it.
You're late.
Very late. I know, man. I need to get on it. Absolutely need to get on it. I'm going to take Pittsburgh with the win as well. Even though Geno Smith did really play well in that game until he threw the interception and it wasn't for them anymore. Seattle could give really Pittsburgh a run for their money. Pittsburgh's pass rush, though, is probably going to play a big part in this. And, Geno Smith might have a whole week to prep with Pete Carroll, but this team is just, they feel down and out right now. And an underperformer versus an underperformer, I'll take the one that's playing at home and has the better defense. Steelers here all day. Buffalo at Tennessee. This one shouldn't be a difficult one at all. There's nothing from Tennessee that could really present a threat for this Buffalo team, but let's hear your pick on it.
I mean, I'm definitely taking Buffalo. I think we got a bad Sunday night and a bad Monday night.
I know,
game.
man.
They really don't like us this week.
Might just be able to catch all the Squid Games at this point.
For real, you can watch all of it. Yeah, we got Buffalo for the just straight run through. Maybe we'll get a Derrick Henry highlight where he stiff arms somebody into the third row. But outside of that,
with no regard for human life,
he's gonna Tyson Fury somebody.
Yeah, for real, no kidding. So Buffalo at Tennessee, definitely going to take Buffalo here, of course. Tennessee has no reason to win this football game. And honestly, if Buffalo can't pull this W out, it's just going to speak more to the, potential fool's gold like we talked about. They haven't beat anybody. Okay, they have not beat anyone. Now they're facing a Titans team, and this should be a shutout victory. This should be a 35-7, 42-10. Whatever type of game for Buffalo, because there's going to be no competition here. We don't know the status of Tennessee's roster, but even if they were there, they don't have the defense. They don't have the pass rush, and Buffalo's feeling hot. They're a very, very scorching team right now, so there's no reason that the Buffalo Bills should lose this football game. That is going to take us to the end of the show. Got a few minutes here, guys. Man, we want to appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight, everyone that's gotten to the chat, for the couple callers that we had. Appreciate y'all. Don't forget to subscribe, please, on the YouTube channel. It's not a matter of where we're at. It's a matter of where you listen to your content. Petty Sports is absolutely everywhere. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Fees, say goodnight to the people, brother.
Oh, absolutely. Before I get out of here, just have to drop this last little tidbit that has made its way across my desk like 30 times since we've been on air. Jon Gruden has now officially also been removed from Tampa Bay's Ring of Fire, so he's no longer a Hall of Famer in Tampa either. So now they erased him from stealing that Super Bowl off the back of Tony Dungy. I mean, it wasn't his anyway.
Right.
Now the ship has been righted.
100%.
Yeah. So, hey, about anything else that he's got needs to be erased too.
Yeah.
Get rid of the Corona stuff. Whatever he was on, get it out of there. Yeah, man. We appreciate y'all tuning in, man. The callers, we had Taylor and Jay Real in. It's been all the way live in the chat with Wesley and Jamila like they do every Wednesday and Tuesday night. Man, make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Y'all make sure y'all keep this thing going. We trying to go viral out here. And y'all know how I give it to you every week. As always, y'all keep it petty.
Deuces. Next Wednesday, 8 p.m. we will be a third of the way through the NFL season. Then we can really talk about it.
Oh, yeah.